All right. Good evening and welcome to the December 1st, 2022 Northampton County Council meeting. Would all please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Zembo, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Kuzic.
Present.
Mr. Giovanni.
Here.
Mr. Gofredo.
Here.
Mr. Heckman.
Here.
Mr. Lott.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Here.
Ms. Zirinsky. Here. All present.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 17, 2022?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. This evening, we have courtesy of the floor. Before we start, I have a letter to introduce as part of courtesy of the floor. For those who have signed up to speak, you have 5 minutes. And I'm going to begin. This was a letter that we received from someone who could not be here, so I'm reading it as her words and not my own. It was emailed to Ms. Zembo from Lynn Gerber at Graysdale Nursing Home regarding the subject of Graysdale Nursing Home. It was sent Monday, the 28th at 7:21 p.m. To whom it may concern, Graysdale is not fine. If someone could come here and question the residents, you would hear the truth. Mainly the aides and some nurses that are staying here are disgruntled about the care which being given to the residents by the agency staffing from other states, whom get big bucks and other benefits, which they don't deserve. I told the regular staff that they need a new union that will work for them and not against them. The bed baths that are given by the agency are atrocious, and so is the changing of briefs. Besides, when they stay for a double shift, they sleep or sit in the solarium or nurse's station or don't know what they are doing. They ask the residents what they need. Some of them can't even tell them. If someone from the courthouse would come to Graysdale unannounced and not dressed to the nines and not telling McClure about it would be stupendous. Another thing, watch, quote, died suddenly, unquote, by Stu Peters on rumble.com. They are showing what kind of clots you can get from the COVID injections, which the workers were told to get to keep their jobs. Unreal. Lynn Gerber. Next we have Bruce Haynes from Bethlehem.
Good evening, Bruce Haynes from Bethlehem. I'm managing partner, Historic Hotel Bethlehem. I'm sort of back. I know I was here Tuesday night. I'm here hopefully to try and clean up some confusion that occurred during that discussion, and hopefully I can get a fifth vote tonight with Mr. Heckman coming on board or someone else. Those of you who know me know that I don't throw in the towel easily about something that I'm passionate about. And I'm passionate about promoting the tourism agenda for historic Bethlehem, representing the biggest tourism opportunity in Northampton County. And in 2018 and in 2020, we received $185,000 for 3 years of funding to build a website and build a brand, Visit Historic Bethlehem, which we did. And this is the brand we built and promoted this and rolled it out just before COVID, quite frankly. All of that $185,000 was passed through the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Main Street Foundation part of the chambers, which donates grants, which gives grants to all main streets to improve main streets, to basically try to allow Main Street, which has been under assault, as all of you know, from Amazon and all of the people that have brought all the distribution warehouses to the Lehigh Valley. But all of that has been at the expense of small town businesses, mom and pop businesses. Main Street is filled with 24 independent retail shops, 24 restaurants, 2 hotels, and a designation for a possible historic designation, and we were named a top 10 Main Street by USA Today in 2015. I saw that as an opportunity to market and came to this council and the county, and everybody agreed to move forward with that. The chamber only takes 3%, less than 3% actually, of administrative fees. The entire grant was managed by the Hotel Bethlehem, myself leading the charge. We took gratis, we took no funding from the grant. All of the effort and time that we put into managing to build the website, build the brand, get the ads out there through Miles' partnership was all done gratis by the hotel. Again, because we see this as an opportunity, really that is the biggest opportunity for Northampton County to be on the national map. I requested $75,000 in June for the 23, to do our 23 marketing and advertising, and the committee essentially, as you saw in your book, recommended only $12,500. The reality is we can't do much of anything with $12,500. One ad in USA Today, Go Escape Travel Edition, which we did up to this point. We did one in the spring, one in the fall. One ad, one full page ad with this ad is you would use all of the budget. That would leave us no money to do any Google advertising, Facebook advertising. And even though the hotel has committed to 33% match, and again, the hotel's taking no administrative fees out of this, all the money, all $75,000 would go to advertising and marketing, both digital and print, to promote bringing people to historic Bethlehem. And when we bring those people here to historic Bethlehem, not only do they benefit all the businesses on Main Street, all independent business, there's no corporate chain in downtown Bethlehem. They're all people that own and run their businesses. And all of the money that we bring in basically for people staying in our hotel, the Hyatt, the Comfort Suites, and all the other hotels, all of that money just is added to the hotel tax for next year that can then be used to fund additional stuff for the hotel tax that's in the budget. So we are the quintessential element for basically what the hotel tax is about, which is to promote tourism. And we are doing that. That's what we're doing. That's what our $75,000 will do. And we should generate more than that amount of people to build another $75,000 for next year and the year after, and to help fund other businesses that aren't promoting tourism that are getting funding out of the hotel tax. So my point here tonight is that we took step one to build the website. We took step two to build a brand. We took step three during the pandemic to get out there. Finally, the pandemic's over, and we're gonna have a chance now to actually really promote and bring people here to the Lehigh Valley. And without some amendment tonight to support that for next year, all of the invested money we've put in so far, the $185,000, will go to waste, period. It was like money that we just flushed down the drain. So I really am just passionately asking you to reconsider. I know the amendment didn't pass, so it's not on the agenda. I'm hoping there's some legal way to get us back on there. And the last thing I want to say is that the budget this year, and I've talked to Steve Barron about this, the budget that's in for 2023 assumes the hotel tax collection for the year of 2022, this year, which is going to be the same as it was in 2021. I can tell you that our business is up 50% over what it was in 2021. I can tell you that all the reports on hotel that we get, the STAR report, the hotel business is up 30 to 40% in 2022. So the 2.2 million that's estimated in the budget is going to end up being about 2.8 million. The additional 600,000, 75% of it obviously is a pass-through to Discover Lehigh Valley and LVEDC, but 25% of that should be available in January to help fund the additional $62,500 I'm requesting. I can assure you that at the end of the day, you're going to have more money in the till sitting here, and no reason to let that waste sit for a year when we could be out there bringing people here to Bethlehem and Northampton County. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Kurt Landis from Nazareth.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm coming to you not only as a Northampton County resident, but also as the president for Iron Pigs Charities and the general manager for Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. I understand there was commentary a couple days ago, so I just want to make sure I have the opportunity to talk about the benefit that we feel the Iron Pigs bring to the greater Lehigh Valley and not just to Lehigh County or just to the city of Allentown. Certainly, before I even begin, I just want to say thank you as well. Northampton County did participate in the previous fiscal year by supporting the project that's underway now with $200,000. And it's been extremely helpful and valuable as we continue to work on this project that we hope to be finished in April for 2023. So thank you for your support. As this project comes closer and closer, we're working very hard to try to find the final ways to close the funding gap. And that's why I stand in front of you today to respectfully ask for your support and consideration for the dollars that have been allocated in the budget that I know is in front of you. I know the county line ends right before Coca-Cola Park, but we feel so strongly that we're a regional asset. We, from day one, called ourselves the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs because we needed the full support of the entire Lehigh Valley region. And I'll give you some numbers about the things that the Iron Pigs do and Iron Pigs Charities. Just so you understand how important that is to us, our support comes from both counties, and we give back to both counties. Lehigh County certainly is important to us as our landlord, and they take on the onus of responsibility for many, many things, including the funding involved with the project that we have to undertake to be able to continue to be a viable franchise and operate for years and years to come, which our lease is through 2052. A few things to share with you, and I apologize as I wrote these things down to be 100% accurate. We employ almost 700 employees annually between part-time, seasonal, and full-time employees. 44% of our employees, so just over 300 employees, come to work at Coca-Cola Park from Northampton County. We have now drawn through 14 seasons, it would have been 15 if not for COVID, but through 14 seasons, we've drawn just over 8 million fans. Of those 8 million fans, 41% come from Northampton County. Over the course of the last 14 years, that means well over 3.3 million fans are Northampton County residents that enjoy the quality of life that Coca-Cola Park and the Iron Pigs bring to the residents. The Iron Pigs, knock on wood, we've been successful because we've worked hard and we've had a great attitude in a relatively small market in AAA. We've been fortunate to be one of the top 5 drawing teams in the country because we work doggedly in this community and give back, and it's important to us. That said, our mantra is affordable family entertainment. And even though we're in the top 5 in attendance, we're in the bottom half of the country out of all 120 teams in average ticket price. And out of 30 teams in AAA baseball, we rank 27th out of 30 in our price for an average family of 4. Our price for an average family of 4 to attend the ballpark is $73 for 4 people. That includes food, drinks, parking, program, and tickets. Coca-Cola Park is a lot more than just Iron Pigs baseball. It's a lot more in baseball, period. Baseball is a very small part of what we do. We consider ourselves an entertainment venue. We consider ourselves a significant tourism partner with Northampton County and with Lehigh County. And we do a lot more than just Iron Pigs baseball games. On average, we host 119 events at the ballpark in addition to 75 Iron Pigs games. So in a calendar year, well more than half the time. In fact, 205 days on average, there is activity and events at the ballpark, many of which bring in people from outside of the territory. people that come from all over the Philadelphia region, many, many counties, the entire region, stay at the Hotel Bethlehem, attend Crayola the next day, attend Music Fest and Arts Quest the whole day. It takes the region to work together from a tourism standpoint to help and support each other, be it hotels, tourism tax, all the venues, the downtown businesses. Iron Pigs Charities was developed the very first day the Iron Pigs were. We've now given back. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow with our board, and tomorrow, for the first time, we're going to reach $2 million. $2 million that we have given back to the community in 14 years. And when we give back those grants, those applications come in from youth organizations with a focus on education and especially recreation, but for nonprofit organizations and kids that can't afford opportunities otherwise, or mostly kids that don't have abilities, physical or mental abilities to do things otherwise. $2 million we've given back to Northampton County and Lehigh County locations. Just last month, we hosted an event called Sweets and Treats, where we gave 800 kids who normally wouldn't have the opportunity to trick or treat because of safety issues or accessibility issues, the opportunity to trick or treat at Coca-Cola Park. I recognize you have a lot of tough, difficult decisions in front of you. I don't envy any of you and the number of people that come and make requests all the time. But I do feel strongly that we're a regional asset. I really greatly appreciate your support to date. And I just ask for your genuine support in helping us close the very, very final funding gap that we have, and sincerely appreciate your time and interest. For us, the Iron Pigs, as I close, it's about partnerships. We try to have as many relationships and partnerships as possible. And we consider our partnership with Northampton County and Northampton County residents to be incredibly important to us. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Rick Mulcahy? No address? Could you state your address?
Well, good evening, everyone. Rick
where are you
Mulcahy,
from?
Director of General Services from the County of Lehigh, and a Northampton County resident. I'm not going to make an ask. I think Kurt's made his ask. But I want to just fill in a little bit of commentary about some of what you may have been reading about. Yeah, we're the owner. You know, we're the landlord. The County of Lehigh doesn't generate any profit from this. We pay our debt service each year using hotel tax revenue. We charge the Iron Pigs rent each year to pay another third of the debt service. And then the last third of the debt service is served by the state. So we are not in a position in Lehigh County where we're earning funds or necessarily earning profit. I think in addition, when we talk regional, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs are important to the region. I do believe that many residents who move in or stay, I'm a lifelong resident, those who move in tell me they don't come here because we have a good jail. They come here because we have quality of life that makes sense in both Lehigh and Northampton counties. Back when the stadium was built, this was huge for us in the area. Lehigh County is not experienced at running a ballpark facility for a AAA affiliate for Philadelphia Phillies. But we took it on. Lots of discussions with Allentown. Some of you read in the paper recently where Allentown, by a vote of 4-3, elected not to fund. I don't agree with that decision, but it's a decision I have to live with. But understand that the side of that maybe isn't reported is the fact that some social service partnering that we do, Allentown elected to take on that themselves, allowing us to not take on that debt and turn around and use that funding to support the Iron Pigs. And we've done that. So the side that's not heard is that, yes, Allentown did say no to the pigs, but if you remember, they also said they want to fund their own social services, at which case we agree. So in the county of Lehigh, we are going to reduce our social service impact by $1.5 million, which would be their contribution. When we talk about regional programs, I think when we look at things like LVEDC or Discover Lehigh Valley, we all pay them, your county, our county, we pay them. In addition, we have supported them during COVID. We've given $1 million away to those organizations to support them during COVID, and I'm sure Northampton County has as well. But I think when we're looking at the region and what draws people to the region, might be Arts Quest, for example. In Northampton County. County of Lehigh contributed $500,000 to Arts Quest as a point of us realizing the economic strength of that particular organization, not just in Northampton, but also in Lehigh. In addition, we've donated monies to State Theater, even donating monies to the Northampton County Historical Society, the tune of about $20,000. So we've made attempts to cross over that line to make sure that what we're investing in is our region. Now, I understand at times we're competitive when we're looking for funding for a bridge or for a road improvement. I get that. But when it comes to quality of life, the region itself speaks for us collaborating and working together. We've done that with your executive. We've talked to Executive McClure about working collaboratively on some of these issues while remaining separate on many other operating issues. Maybe we're not going to work together on things like a new jail opportunity, but it may be an opportunity for us to work together collectively to improve quality of life. So quality of life and regionalization, we're making that investment, and we're asking you to consider what you heard from Mr. Landis this evening and from Executive McClure in previous meetings, and consider funding to some level to demonstrate your partnership with Lehigh on what I consider an incredible regional asset. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Fiorella? Do you want me to keep it in case anybody else stands up for you?
Good evening again, twice in 1 week. I just want to come and ask again if you can please consider the $50,000 grant that we applied for the payment of our master plan. We do not have a park master plan. It's something new to us. We have beautiful parks in the borough of Bath, although we need a plan before we can go forward in the plans that we'd like to do. We'd like to do a band shell. We'd like to perhaps do a water feature. There are several things on the table, but we can't do anything without a master plan. As I said the other night, you know what the borough of Bath issues are. Only municipality in the state of Pennsylvania, 5 state highways. We have lots to worry about in our borough, and our budget is nothing. Our assessed valuation in Bath is horrible. The townships surrounding us have more money than the borough of Bath will ever see. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't have that. So I kindly ask you for your consideration. It would be greatly appreciated by myself, the administration, the young families moving into Bath, because we have a housing boom. We have new apartments going in. We have houses that sell within 3 days. So we're growing, but we need help. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to courtesy of the floor who did not get a chance to sign in? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Mr. McClure, do you have a report?
Very briefly, Madam President, excuse me. But before I start, Madam President, may I suggest if any members of council have any questions for anyone who presented during courtesy of the floor, I would be happy to yield some of my time to them because I don't have a great deal for my report tonight.
Sure.
What is your position with Lehigh County?
You're the Director of General Services, Rick? Mr. Mulchaney, a Northampton County resident, is the Director of General Services in Lehigh County.
Okay, so Mr. Mulchaney, a resident of Northampton County, I think we want to get that on the record 3 or 4 times. Are you appointed or are you career service?
Shut up, Rick.
Well,
Well, yeah, he has to be on the mic. Sorry. Unless you want to echo.
no, I just want to know if he's appointed or career service, that's all.
I don't know.
Council, I am appointed by the executive
So you're
and
at will.
confirmed by the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, we have a similar system. So
Correct.
you are, so you're an at-will employee.
That's correct.
Thanks, that's all I wanted to know.
Madam President,
That was easy.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Mr. Landis, please.
you want Mr. Landis?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Here's my problem. You're using the auspice of Iron Pigs charity for renovations. I've been much happier if you just came and asked us for renovations for the Iron Pigs without using the word charities, because when I hear charities, I really, truly expect that it's going to the programs that you already talked about. See what I'm saying?
Sure. Let me explain. The opportunity to apply was given to nonprofit organizations. We'd be happy to apply and request funding from the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. But as directed and explained to us, the most appropriate action was for hotel tax funds. That required us to apply as a nonprofit organization. And when we did so last year and again this year, we felt it was appropriate to do so because the purpose of the funding, besides bricks and mortar and equipment, is to allow the Iron Pigs to maintain an affiliated organization within minor league baseball and to be allowed to operate as a licensed minor league team. If we were not to acquire all the funds, and we're committed to the project now, we're far enough along, we're moving forward, and we're going to find it somehow, some way, hopefully with your partnership. But when we applied last year and again this year, if we don't receive the funds, or we chose not and didn't be able to allocate all the funds, not only would the Iron Pigs potentially lose our license, then the Iron Pigs charities would fail to exist as well. So we felt it appropriate, because we had to apply as a nonprofit to receive hotel tax funds, to use Iron Pigs charities. And it's appropriate because without the Iron Pigs charities wouldn't exist either. So it was really benefiting both organizations which utilize Coca-Cola Park for base of operations. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I'm well aware that it's also used for, you do a lot of playoff games and a lot of baseball games throughout the high school systems that use Coca-Cola Park, and you've done a lot of other things besides that I'm well aware of. I was somewhat perplexed with the use of charities for this, but the way you just explained, it's a little more clear where it's coming from and why you used that particular application for it. So I appreciate you answering the question for me.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you again for your consideration.
Anybody else you want to talk to? Okay, last night or Tuesday night? We've been at this for 14 hours. It's time to vote. And Mr. Gaffredo made a comment about all the lines in the budget. And I know what he meant. And it's why we took 14 hours to go through that to get here tonight. And a lot of vigorous debate. I'm not saying we might not have another meeting where some of these amendments we disagree about, we might not have to go over again, potentially, but I want to make a positive point here tonight. When we cut taxes last year, some people said, oh, well, they'll cut taxes. It's a gimmick. It's an election year gimmick. They'll just have to turn around and raise them next year. Well, guess what? We have another no tax increase budget, the fourth of my administration plus that tax cut. And that is a credit to us all, irrespective of what happens with the amendments tonight. Irrespective of what happens to the amendment tonight, we will fully fund our green future agenda, including farmland preservation, open space, and environmentally sensitive land. This is very positive news and a credit to us all. I couldn't be happier with the product that we propose to you, and it is certainly within your right, even when we disagree, to propose amendments to that budget. So I wanted to make sure that the public understood that some of the heat and light that is created in the disagreement over the amendments isn't the overarching theme here. This isn't about acrimony. This is about how we work together, moving forward into the future without raising people's taxes, fully funding our core responsibilities, and moving forward on our green future agenda. And if you don't have any questions for me, that'll conclude my report.
Mr. Meyer?
Mr. McClure, would I be telling the truth to say, because of the warehousing that we have here, it gives us a little luxury to be able to repeat what we're doing this year and not raising, or not doing the taxing?
Well, certainly our tax base has increased, and that is a part of the overall increase in our tax base. But I wouldn't say it's the primary driving force in why we had the tax cut last year and why we don't have to raise taxes this year.
But it helps.
But it helps, yeah. And still, we don't need any more.
I'm not arguing that.
We won't have to raise taxes even if we don't get one more warehouse.
Because of the warehouses, we are a little more comfortable than we didn't have them on top of it.
They pay real estate property taxes for sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. McClure.
If I may, I've received correspondence which I've shared with you about potential litigation. It may be appropriate for an executive session if that be council's desire.
Can I have a motion for council only to enter into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Mr. Giovanni seconded. Do I need to have discussion regarding that? Call for the vote?
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Ms. Farka Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
No.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes, out of curiosity.
Mr. Lott?
Yeah.
Motion passes by a vote of 8-1.
Okay, so this is, what do I have? I have 7:02. We're entering into an executive session for the discussion of potential litigation.
I'm going to take my drink.
Pretty soon we'll have to move to Bath.
That would be nice.
Yes. Look, how much abuse do we want to take from 18 people, 9 commissioners, and 9 council?
So sorry, I didn't
No,
know.
that's all right.
I just want to get folks' names and, and I also, yeah, and I got hurt and I was about it, and then I got Northampton County resident and we had something and
You know,
Chuck Malichek.
you know, I don't have a court. So
Do you want to just
R-I-C-K,
say-
M-O-L-C-H-A-N-Y, Director of General Services. And for the 4th time in Northampton. General Services.
Don't worry.
Your last name. 30. Well, C-H-A-N-Y. Well, thanks, so.
No, okay, I'm sorry, it's just when you were saying it, it just came.
Rick. Yeah.
Would you want to, I know Kurt doesn't want to, unless you change it. I got, you said some of the things that we were talking about, we to take that, but is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's really, I'm here to support Kurt, really. But at the same time, I think there's been things reported that we should make sure we understand the full story. And, we just ask this makes sense. I'm not saying that you're asking you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I'm thinking.
Can't say that so soon after COVID.
Right?
Every once in a while, Mike is really quiet, but he'll come out with this sick.
It's the quiet ones you gotta watch.
Was that correct?
We've applied for
Right, yeah. And one was with the hotel, and that's.
one is for
And then they thought their younger son was graduating, and that's just, right, yeah, no, he wanted to.
So I think there's.
Conversation, yeah. Oh, yeah, and I.
That's right, I was not gonna let him.
Are you, so the 125K, you're not quite sure about that?
It's my understanding.
I had not, you know, we texted Mary Lewis, and it's one time, she has like, big comments on Facebook, but I just haven't had time to, you know.
It wasn't budget, no, and there was a time we went, because we had the lag.
Yes, yes.
And we should make sure
Yeah,
for us,
we should make
you
it
know,
go over there.
it's, you know, we're not gonna come to this county. But we wanna make sure that we pass it. You know, we're
No, when you call it a habit, that's
we own it neutral, meaning we try to use it.
that's a mess.
That organization. So by doing that, increase the quality of life. And by talking about people don't move here
For the jail.
because we have a nice jail.
That's a really great soundbite, but
I use it a lot.
I really like it. I'm gonna use
We
it too.
don't
But,
have people come here. We have people come here for farmland preservation. We have people come here for trails. When I hear them want to talk about is we need to do this for farmland preservation and land. That's the totally understands it's not necessarily a competition. This is how can we improve the region and how can we raise all ships during high tide.
Are you able to, while we're waiting for them, could you step out and do an interview on the camera?
I just don't want to be perceived as asking or for money. That's not what I do. I don't want to do that.
Well, you're
I wanna, yeah, but that's just my 5th time as president, but realistically, I'm here, to support the IRPs. And your interest of having.
Why?
Because I work with, I'm coming to Lehigh County and asking, folks for, contributing money to do this because it's front of the mail.
We just grab a super quick interview unless they come back, we can come back.
Sure.
Just so I have it, I just want to make sure that. Mike? I thought you might need a little.
Hey. Oh, God, 11 hours. Memos. I can't, I got locked out again. I don't need it right now. No, it's not, he said what he said, it's the usual. If you do this, you're probably breaking the law. I get it.
Okay, where are we? We are at 7:12, re-entering county council. We had an executive session to discuss potential litigation and no action was taken. Therefore, we could get back to old business. First, we have the consideration of matters related to the 2023 Northampton County Budget and Capital Improvements Plan. First, the consideration of budgetary position-related issues, created or eliminated positions, Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue, Department of Administration Conservation District, District Attorney's Office, Coroner's Office, Department of Human Services Veterans Affairs, Department of Human Services Graysdale, upgraded positions, Department of Administration, Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue, District Attorney's Office, County Council, District Attorney Office, Department of Corrections, Department of Human Services Graysdale. Hey.
Please.
What's going on? First, we have under created or eliminated positions, the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue, elimination of clerical technician, 3 position. I have to read the resolutions? You can read
Pass it
some
off.
of them. Oh, you got a bad voice. Carrie, could you read the first one? Because I'm not ready.
Sure. It is hereby resolved by Northampton County that 1 full-time position of clerical technician 3 pay grade RU GR 15 salary $30,645 shall be eliminated in the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Division effective January 1, 2023.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any discussion regarding this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Rinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Want me to continue?
Next, we have Department of Administration Conservation District, creation of program coordinator position. Yes, please introduce.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the 1 full-time position of program coordinator, pay grade CS, GR 23 salary $52,062 shall be created in the Department of Administration Conservative District effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion?
No.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Administration, wrong. District Attorney's Office, creation of county detective position.
It is hereby resolved by the Northampton County Council that the one full-time position of county detective, pay grade DE GR 25, salary $61,036 shall be created in the District Attorney's Office effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion regarding this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the District Attorney's Office, upgrade of clerical technician 3 position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one part-time position, .50 FTE position of clerical technician 3, pay grade CR, GR 15, salary $14,913, shall be upgraded to one part-time .75 FTE position of clerical technician 3, pay grade CR, GR 15, salary $22,369 in the District Attorney's Office effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion on this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the Coroner's Office, creation of deputy coroner position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position of deputy coroner, pay grade CS GR 23, salary $52,62, shall be created in the office of the coroner effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion regarding this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the Coroner's Office, elimination of 3 part-time deputy coroner positions.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 3 part-time .1 FTE positions of deputy coroner, pay grade C, GR 23, salary $15,619, shall be eliminated in the office of the coroner effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion regarding this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the Department of Human Services, Veterans Affairs, creation of Veterans Affairs Services Officer position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position of Veterans Service Officer, pay grade CS GR 20, salary $45,348, shall be created in the Department of Human Service, Veteran Affairs, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion regarding this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of the 13 full-time certified nurse aide positions.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 13 full-time positions of certified nurses aides, pay grade GU, GR04, total $398,996 shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Services, Graysdale, SE1, and staff float effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion regarding this matter?
Just one point of order. We were informed last night, these are a lot of jobs that were never filled, and that's the reason why we're going to eliminate them. If I'm wrong with that, please correct me for the record.
Nope, that's what I heard. Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 35 part-time certified nurse aide positions.
It is hereby resolved by the Northampton County Council that 35 part-time .40 FTEs positions of certified nurses aide, pay grade GU, GR04, total salary $429,688 shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Service, Graysdale Nursing SC1 and relief, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 8 per diem certified nurse aide positions.
It is hereby resolved that Northampton County Council that 8 per diem .20 FTE positions of certified nurses aide, pay grade GU, GR11, total salary $53,248 shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Service, Graysdale Nursing Home Relief, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 4 full-time licensed practical nurse positions.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 4 full-time positions of licensed practical nurse, pay grade GU, GR09, total $175,016 shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Service, Graysdale Nursing Home SC1, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 4 part-time licensed practical nurse positions.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 4 part-time .40 FTE positions of licensed practical nurse, pay grade GU, GR09, total salary $70,007 shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Service, Graysdale Nursing Home SC1, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion?
Madam President, yes.
Yes, sir.
If Ms. Stewart King is here, I believe I saw her. I had a quick question on this.
Let her make her way up.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for right-sizing Graysdale and eliminating these positions. My concern, and based on what I heard earlier, we are eliminating a bunch of part-time and per diem nursing positions. Now, I was asked, shouldn't those be where we go for lack of a better word, substitutes rather than agency nurses? Wouldn't it be cheaper, more effective, or are we just unable to fill the positions? Because I think that was a concern that was raised to me. Why are we eliminating part-time and per diem and then using agency nurses? Shouldn't our pool come from that group?
We still have many part-time and PRN positions available. These are positions on Southeast 1, which the daycare will be, and there's some other positions that just have never been filled. We have enough positions to do 688 beds. We have enough, and to go to the 4.1 if we need to. We have enough positions in our.
Okay, but if you, if you maintain some of the additional part-time and per diem, would that enable you to reduce the use of agency?
Yes, but those positions are still available. Like, these are positions that we don't need. We still have other part-time and per diem positions open to fill enough spaces of our own employees to
Okay,
take care of.
So we have enough positions, we just don't have
The people
people within them.
Right, we just hired, I believe it was 14 CNAs of our own last week that are going through the classes. So we're seeing the people come in that are going to be ours. We have enough positions for everybody in-house.
Okay, so I think that, yeah, that was my question and that was my concern. Thank you.
Before you leave, those 14 that are coming on, that means the availability to fill those positions.
Correct. So after.
We're not losing anything. It's a plus for us.
Correct. So they will, once they go through the classes, they're offered positions that are available.
Any other discussion or questions? Thank you. Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes?
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Okay, I lost my place. That was the 10 per diem, or that was the
That's a
4?
four.
There was a 4.
That was a 4.
We're at the
Okay,
10
thanks.
now.
Next, we have the Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 10 per diem licensed practical nurse positions.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 10 per diem .20 FTE positions of licensed practical nurse paid grade GU GR 10, total salary $116,480, shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Service, Graysdale Nursing Home Relief, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 1 full-time registered nurse position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 1 full-time position of registered nurse, pay grade SW GR 26, salary $59,130, shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Services, Graysdale Nursing Home, SC1, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 1 part-time registered nurse position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 1 part-time .40 FTE position of registered nurse, pay grade SW GR 26, salary $23,652, shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Services, Graysdale Home SE1, effective January 1, 2023.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Mr. Heckman? Yes. Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 1 part-time registered nurse position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 24 per diem .20 FTE positions of registered nurse, pay grade SW GR 27, total $359,424, shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Services, Graysdale Home Relief, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yeah.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services, Graysdale, elimination of 1 full-time unit clerk position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that 1 full-time position of unit clerk, pay grade GUGR 03A, salary $30,222,000, shall be eliminated in the Department of Human Services, Graysdale Nursing Home, SE1, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Okay, did I get everything that we were eliminating? Okay. Thank you. Next, we have upgraded positions. Let's see, Department of Administration, the resolution to upgrade the Deputy Director of Administration position from pay grade CSGR 24 5E, salary $65,007 to CSGR 31 1A, salary $75,000 $75,240 was not moved forward at the budget amendment hearing meeting. So I would ask someone to make a motion to reconsider the request.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, do I have discussion? Sorry. All in favor? Call for the vote? Sorry. I'm lost.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yep.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Mr. Kuzic.
No.
Mr. Giovanni.
No.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-4.
Thank you. I would like someone to make a motion to amend the resolution to have the position upgraded from a CSGR 24-5E, salary $65,007, to have CSGR 31-A, salary $71,857.
Motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion on the amendment?
This is on the
We,
amendment.
we just did the amendment before, didn't we?
We're amending this to be.
No, we asked to reconsider,
Okay.
now we're amending.
Okay.
No discussion? Call for the vote, please, on the amendment.
Mr. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
No.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Mr. Giovanni.
No.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Point of clarification? What, am I voting to cut her raise? Or am I voting to give her the raise that was proposed by the administration?
Last night, the raise by the administration was refuted. It was voted down.
Right.
I'm asking to reintroduce an amendment with an agreement to cut the original amount that he requested to a
That's what
different
I'm
amount.
voting
And that
on.
is what the amendment is.
So a yes would be that I approve the cut and a no is that I don't.
A yes is that you approve amending it, and then we will discuss the amendment. And then we will vote on the actual.
Sure, I'll support, I don't know, Robitussin.
You have to amend the resolution, then you will vote on the amended resolution.
Okay, so point of clarification. We already voted to reintroduce the original amendment that had 75,000 in. When I voted no, I'm voting to not amend that one and to vote on the 75,000. That's my understanding. If we amend this, then we are going to vote on
You'll
a
vote on one or
decrease.
the
The new
other.
one, yes.
You'll vote on one or the other?
Yeah, you've reintroduced it.
This is the vote on the 71,000.
Please.
There was a tie vote on Tuesday. It failed. It's been brought back up before council.
Right.
And the one that failed was for $75,240. There has now been an amendment to increase the pay, but not to that number, to $71,867.
That's a decrease.
That's this amendment. So when Mr. Heckman asks, am I voting for an increase, the answer is yes.
Not the original increase.
Not the $75,000 increase, the $71,867 increase.
That's a decrease.
It's less than what they asked for. Is this, and I'm, again, clarification for a vote. Who introduced this motion to a motion? The one we're voting on right now?
I did.
Okay.
Carrie and
I introduced it for the new.
I understand what's happening here. I just didn't necessarily think we had to do it, but that's okay. I'm ready to vote.
what's your vote?
Oh, on 71,000? No.
Mr. Lot.
No.
Motion fails by a vote of 5-4.
So then do I re-vote on the original amount?
Made it lower.
We're voting on the original amount.
here about what just happened.
But it failed anyway, now it goes back to,
It goes back to
we
the
go back
original
at your
amount.
original number.
Okay.
The amendment has failed. You're now back at the $75,000 number.
Right, and that's what we're voting on now.
We need somebody to.
All right, so we need to reintroduce, no, we don't.
No, we
It's
already
already
reintroduced
introduced. We don't have an amended.
No. What happened was, we voted to bring it back for consideration.
Right.
Then we voted to amend it, but the resolution itself was never
Oh,
read.
so you need to reintroduce the original, all right. And do we have a copy of that here?
I do.
All right. Because I only have this.
This is messed up.
Carrie can.
You have to-
Is this the one with the 75?
The original.
Okay, with my tired voice and people laughing outside, that's cool. We'll go again. You're hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Deputy Director of Administration, pay grade CSGR 24-5E, salary $65,007, in the Department of Administration shall be upgraded to a pay grade CSGR 1A, salary $75,240, effective January 23.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on this resolution.
Just real quickly, I do believe that this employee deserves a raise, and I was very comfortable with the 71,000 that was proposed. That was about a $6,000 raise, but I just can't support a $10,000 raise for a political appointee position. So I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes.
Just to echo what Mr. Cusick said, just judging by all the raises we're giving, they're all pretty much in line, around 5-6%. This is around 16%. For that reason, it just sticks out. I will not be supporting it either.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky? Yes. Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Kuzic?
No.
Mr. Giovanni?
No.
Mr. Gofredo?
No.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 5 to 4.
Thank you. Next, we have the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Manager position. Mr. Myers, would you introduce?
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Revenue Manager, pay grade CSGR 31-1A, salary $75,240, in the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Division shall be upgraded to a pay grade CSGR 32-1A, salary $78,784, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky? Yes. Adopted by a vote of 8 to 1.
Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Deputy Revenue Manager position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Deputy Revenue Manager, pay grade CSGR 24-1A, salary $54,512, in the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Division shall be upgraded to a pay grade CSGR 27-1A, salary $62,587, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Adopted by a vote of 8 to 1.
Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Elimination of Revenue Tax Claim Supervisor position.
It is hereby resolved, Northampton County Council, that one full-time position of Revenue Tax Claim Supervisor, pay grade CSGR 22, salary $49,721, shall be eliminated in the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Division, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9 to 0.
Next, we have Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Creation of Revenue Tax Specialist.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position of Revenue Tax Specialist, pay grade CS GR 19, salary 43,304, shall be created in the Department of Fiscal Affairs Revenue Division effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have District Attorney's Office elimination of clerical specialist position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position of clerical specialist, pay grade CR GR 17, salary 44,504, shall be eliminated in the District Attorney's Office effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have District Attorney's Office creation of Assistant Victim Advocate position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position, Assistant Victim Advocate, pay grade CS GR 22, salary 49,721, shall be created in the District Attorney's Office effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
I know the DA's here. It's a quick question. We've had a victim advocate on staff. We may even have multiple ones. Is this for an additional one? You've already had some, right?
Yes, we took one from the clerical specialist and we upgraded it. Now, all this is covered by the RASA grant.
Right, but I mean, you have.
Yeah, we have a couple of them.
You have a couple of them. So this is just, you feel you need another one.
Yeah, we're pretty much upgrading one that we already have. We're not creating a new one.
Oh, because
Just creating a new
We
position.
were dumping the clerical.
Yes, that's the lady that's taken over the new spot.
Okay. Oh, sorry, that clears, so she's going to become the advocate.
Yeah, the assistant, yes.
Fair enough. Thank you. That's
You're
all I wanted to clarify in my mind. That's fine. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have County Council, Clerk to Council.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Clerk to County Council, pay grade CE GR 06 3C, salary 113,403, in the County Council office shall be upgraded to a pay grade of CE GR 06 4D, salary 118,507, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have County Council, Deputy Clerk to Council.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Deputy Clerk to County Council, pay grade CE GR1 5E, salary 59,293, in County Council office shall be upgraded to pay grade CE GR1 6F, salary 61,960, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Can I just ask a question? I just see, like, there's a huge gap between the position of clerk and then the deputy clerk. So the deputy clerk makes half. That's a huge difference. What is that disparity contributed to? Not to say that one
A
doesn't
decision
deserve-
made a long, long time ago, way before we were here.
It just seems like there should be more parity in that office. And I just wanted to make that point. Not that y'all don't deserve your salaries. It's just, I just wanted to note that that is a huge gap.
May I just address?
Sure. You-
Yeah,
your baby.
as far as, being a home rule charter county, we're a hybrid. I mean, the chief clerk is a very important position in every county. I don't want to diminish Linda's role. It's not exactly the same. It is, but it isn't in some ways. Some people would argue that. I won't. But if you look across the county and you look at different positions, and I know in the private sector, it's certainly true, and nonprofits, that somebody who's in that position, which is identified in the charter that you must have, there is a disparity. I mean, you can have huge drops from one to the other. So, I mean, I'm sure you could look over in our general government and you could see, look at some of us people are making and drop one and you'll say, oh my God. So I mean, do I think there should be more parity? I think we've got to look at all the salaries. That's why I've been pushing that across the board, union, non-union, everything. But the thing is, I'll support it because I think that historically, that is the position. Now, we just created, the assistant director, the assistant. And that's the title because I guess the point was to make it a training vessel. So it won't be so difficult for council if and when Ms. Zembo leaves to step in, because up until that point, it may seem that it's not important, but if she would leave tomorrow and we hadn't had an assistant, there's so much behind the scenes things that get done for council to check for us that you'd be lost.
I do understand that.
All right, well, I just think that.
that there's, I just noted the disparity.
Yes, you're right, I would
Because
agree there.
If we expect that the deputy clerk would take over tomorrow, God forbid, right?
You
That
forbid.
anything would happen. You know what I mean? I'm trying, just trying.
No, then we'd have to jump her up.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I was just trying to add some flesh to the discussion of the whole.
So when we do the pay study, will these will not be in this pay study?
Look, if it were up to me, union, non-union, everybody would be in the pay study. And if somebody wants to sue over that, be my guest. I mean, all you ever hear about is lawsuits. County's been sued 1 million times. But no, I agree with you, Tara. I don't know if that's appropriate. We're flying by the seat of our pants a little bit on this and getting input from their staff. And I'm not advocating one way or the other. I guess I'm just saying that that's up to council if you want to increase it or if you want to decrease it. I'm
Well, if
fine
we
with that.
increased it, we would have to find the money from somewhere. But this is only, like $1,000 and some odd dollars more that this pay increase is, as opposed to the $3,000 pay increase that we just voted on. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, it depends where you're starting from, too. If you do a step, if I make X amount a year versus somebody else who makes a lot more, my step is going to be higher than the person who's making less to start with. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's part of the whole issue that's been going on that predates this administration. I mean, it's been going on for a long time when we got away from the step system and all that other, and it became almost arbitrary. So I agree, but in terms of our office, I'm open to anything. I mean, this was just what was put in my packet.
I get it. This is what was put in your packet.
I'm fine with the salary. I mean,
I voted on the previous one.
Yeah.
I voted on that. I agreed with it. I just think that this
You're
one
looking for
should be more.
parity.
I
That's
think
fair.
this one should be more. And I'm not quite sure how much more. I just think that the people in the office deserve a little bit more parity. And that's all I'm stating.
fair enough.
And I appreciate the work that all of them do. Thank you so much, all of you.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman,
Yes.
Mr. Lott,
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner,
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. And next we have, where are we?
The next one.
I know, I need to switch pages. County Council Executive Secretary to County Council.
Yeah.
Okay. It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Executive Secretary to County Council, pay grade CSGR 19 2B, salary 45,252, in the County Council office shall be upgraded to pay grade CSGR 19 3C, salary 47,289, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Drink.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we have District Attorney's Office Public Relations Administrator.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Public Relations Administrator, pay grade CSGR 21-1A, salary 47,480, in the District Attorney's Office shall be upgraded to the pay grade of CSGR 21-3C, salary 51,850, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot? Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Corrections Deputy Warden of Classification.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Deputy Warden of Classification, pay grade CSGR 31-2B, salary 78,625, in the Department of Corrections shall be upgraded to pay grade CSGR 31-3C, salary 82,162, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Corrections Deputy Warden of Operations.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Deputy Warden Operations, pay grade CSGR 31-8H, salary 102,440, in the Department of Corrections shall be upgraded to pay grade CSGR 31-9I, salary 107,102, effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services Graysdale Information Compliance Nurse.
It is hereby resolved, Northampton County Council, that the position of compliance nurse, pay grade CSGR 27-3C, salary 68,646, Department of Human Services, Graysdale Nursing Home, shall be upgraded to pay grade CSGR 274D, salary 71,422, effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services Graysdale Elimination of Staff Development Instructor Position.
It is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that the position of Staff Development Instructor, LPN, pay grade CSGR 26, salary 59,772, in the Department of Human Services Graysdale Nursing Home, Nursing Administration shall be created effective January 1, 2023.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have Department of Human Services Graysdale Creation of Staff Development Instructor Position.
It is hereby resolved by the Northampton County Council that position of Staff Development Instructor, pay grade CSGR 27, salary 62,587, Department of Human Services, Graysdale Nursing Home, Nursing Administration shall be eliminated effective January 1, 2023.
Thank you. Discussion. Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you.
Was that the last one I had to read?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Myers.
Heckman thanks you, and I thank
I
you.
would have been out of there and had to leave if I.
Next, we have the consideration of the 2023 salary resolution. Mr. Heckman, can you handle that, or no?
Oh, I'll give it a run. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that the 2023 salaries of the career service and exempt employees not within collective bargaining units whose job classifications are within the parameters of the Northampton County Career Service and exempt pay scales, respectively, as well as the part-time professional employees, shall be as indicated on the attached pay scales. So moved, and you have your pay scales attached.
Thank you. Any discussion? Sir?
Just for a point of clarification, this is a whole big bundle of different pay scales.
Sure is.
Could we please summarize what that means as far as a percentage? Or a step, because that's really what we're talking about here.
Mr. Barron?
Mr. Barron, you'd like to talk? Yeah.
The resolution, I know what it is, but it's not clear. And so I'd like it
As presented in the county executive's address to council when he first introduced the budget, and as talked about at the very first budget hearing in hour 2, it is 3%.
Do you ever answer without like a preamble or something? It's like I'm like buying a car and I have to hear about how great the leather on the seats are before you say how much it costs me. It's amazing.
Any further discussion?
You know I love you, Mr. Barron.
On
Madam
the
Pre-
3%?
Madam President, I don't have it.
It's a big fat thing.
Yeah, we went over that.
Went over that. Don't have it.
I showed him. Here,
Well,
here.
Damn.
It's a
Sure,
lengthy.
go ahead.
I'll just reiterate, and I mean, sometimes will agree on a lot and sometimes we won't agree. And I think this is a point where maybe the administration and I have a disagreement to a degree. I don't think it's that great. But this is one reason why I support pay study, in the sense that if you look at the charter, our job is to approve pays, whether it's union, non-union, correct, Mr. Solicitor? To me, that doesn't mean you just say yes. That means that gives you the option of saying no. Now, if I say no to the salaries, then I should have a good reason why I'm saying no. I should have, because you're really not involved. You get it, and there it is. Vote. I believe to make an informed decision, you need information. Now, I know we get information from the executive branch, and the unions negotiate, and they have their information. But sometimes, at this point in history, I'd like to have, and which is also supported by the charter, an independent pay review for council, just for council, created for council. So as time goes on, at least for the time I'm here, I get a sense of, oh, well, maybe this should be amended, maybe that should be changed. Because there was a time when you had, and I don't remember how many, but we had less steps, and the classifications now, the number of them are just unbelievable. And it used to be that you would, if you got a satisfactory or better, and this isn't this administration, this is going back. Some executive went off the rails on this, that you got a step. And if you were at the end, you got a COLA. And then there was like, well, you'll get a step and a COLA. But I think what drives employees crazy, and I can understand that, because this isn't like, when I worked at Hess's, you had to go in and you had to beg for a raise. Their motto was, if you don't come and beg, why should we give it to you? So I went in assuming, because I had worked at a government, they'll give me a raise. Well, after 2 years, I figured I better ask about this. And they said, well, you must not want it. You didn't come in and beg us. So my thing is, we got away from that. I don't understand even what the steps mean anymore. I don't know what place they have. And that's where we get into this contentiousness, the time when somebody gets this step and somebody doesn't get a step or they get raised. I'd like to either use the steps in a systematic way or possibly get rid of them. I mean, you know, I just don't see the purpose of the steps anymore, since 1 year you may give somebody a step, the next year you don't give them a step regardless of their evaluations. So it's become very optional. And we added the steps. I mean, it used to be if you came in, we brought you in at a lower rate, but if you were here X amount of years,
You got to step.
you're going to get more, and you know this is where you could end up. Now it's, you may not. You may go 3 years without a step, but you might get a COLA. I just would like to have a base level, and that's why I've advocated for this. I would like to have a base level so that I can decide, well, maybe what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, or maybe what I'm saying has some sense to it, or even a lot of sense, who knows? But the thing is, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, as you go through this, and I went through them, and I've looked at some of the old ones I have, it's fine. I mean, the unions do their research, the executive branch does their research, but again, you are an equal branch of government empowered with the power of salaries. I mean, you don't negotiate them, but you certainly approve them. And to me, approval conversely means you cannot approve. But if you don't approve, you should have a darn good reason. And right now, I don't have a really good reason other than what I just said, but I've got nothing to back it up. So anyway, that's how I feel. I'm going to vote yes. I mean, I'm not going to. I just wanted to say that when we had these discussions with what we did earlier, which is just a lot, you get into this, and then next week you'll hear all kinds of feedback about what you did wrong, what you did right, and everything like we usually do. But it can get confusing, even for people who've been around a while. As you could see when I was earlier, I didn't know what I was voting on. So without clarification. So I just wanted to point that out. Salaries are a big part of what we do. And I take that very seriously. And it's not somebody's right, somebody's wrong. It's just the system. That's all.
Sure.
Any further discussion, Mr. Cusick?
Just clarification on this.
Just a minute, Mr. Cusick's been recognized.
Go ahead, John.
I'm sorry. Just to tag on to what Mr. Heckman said, I think what the frustration is that, when we give these percentage raises and people don't move up a step, what happens is someone who has been here for 4 or 5 years winds up at the same level as someone who comes right in the door. And that's where the disparity occurs. The idea is that as your career moves forward, you get the steps. Someone who walks in the door and has no experience, now they're getting paid exactly what I am. So I think that the issue here is that, not that we're giving the 3% this year, I think with inflation the way it is, that's probably inadequate. But the issue is that, you need to see people make steps on the guide to show progress over their career. And council does that from time to time. There's been years where the executive has proposed a percentage and we've said, no, we're going to give a step. But then we have to try to find money somewhere in the budget. And therein lies the dilemma. So again, I'll support the 3%, but I think, maybe next year it's going to be time to look at a step instead. Thank you.
Wait, Mr. Myers?
I'm going to make sure I understand. In the bottom of some of these pages, it's telling us who's getting the raises here. Am I correct with this?
Who were you asking?
Whoever, because I just got my hands on this the first time.
Everybody, that's the pay scale for everyone in the county. That's career service.
That are non-union.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And if I may, I just wanted to say, part of what I said has to do with the fact that I was in an administration for 8 years and a director, and nothing created more controversy than the time of the year when salaries were done. And what Mr. Cusick mentioned was often brought up, and we then went back and tried to remedy within the department somebody who been there a long time, and then they get mad, and I talked to union reps about that until I was blue in the face. But anyway, so that's where some of what I'm saying is coming from. That I've had experience in dealing with angry employees. Thank you.
Yes.
So this is a 3% increase, not step?
3%.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Any other discussion? No. Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9 to
Thank you. Next, we have adoption of the 2023 budget. First, the consideration of amendments to the proposed 2023 budget resolution. Second, the adoption of the Northampton County budget as amended. So first, under consideration of amendments to the proposed 2023 budget resolution. Could someone make a motion to eliminate the $1,147,000 from the hydroelectric power plant for OSI farmland preservation, affordable housing, human resources, pooled operating costs for employees, student loan repayment, recruitment, and retention program?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
No discussion. Any discussion on this? Yes.
I think it's really irresponsible to force the hand of the administration to breach a contract that we've already ratified several years ago. We're asking them to find additional revenue in the budget based on the fact that there's going to be a $1.4 million shortfall then for this project that's going to force Northeast Hydroelectric to lose their matching funds and potentially tank this project that could bring clean energy not only to the valley, but for generations to come. So I really find it fiscally irresponsible to assume that there is more revenue potential than the projections that were generated in the budget as given. And I also find it irresponsible to suggest that we should fund projects that aren't even made, as opposed to a project that has been in the works for 4 years. I will not be voting in favor of that.
Yes, Mr. Myers?
And my voice is fading, but that's okay. I did a little homework today and contacted some folks that I used to work with about this hydroelectric thing and found out it's also an educational tool.
Yeah.
Which I did not realize until I spoke to the folks who I used to be employed by. Therefore, I will not be voting to eliminate anything that's a classroom to future generations.
Yes.
This is not a grant, this is a loan. We get paid the money back. What do the taxpayers get for this loan? They get a dam maintained for 75 years. There's value in that. They get a canal that will be maintained, not by the city or the county anymore, by the company. There's value in that. What else do they get? They get a dry dock for the barge that we spent a lot of money, you know, with our tourism. And so we're getting a lot to give a loan out. You know, I hear corporate welfare. We have lots of corporate welfare coming out of this room, you know. We spent a whole year last year doing corporate welfare. This is not corporate welfare. This is a loan that we are getting a lot back from the taxpayers. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Couple points. Over those 4 years since we approved this project, the estimated cost has doubled. So it's gone from 5 million to 10 million the last time they were here a couple of weeks ago. I agree, this is a nice educational project, and I've said that from the get-go. And, you know, if the college wanted to kick in, I think that would be great, but they're not. And I've also felt from the beginning that the county taxpayers should not be venture capitalists. If I want to open a dog walking business, the county's not going to front me money to buy leashes. And I don't think we should be doing that here. The other piece of this, I think that the money that is being spent there would be better spent on other things. I think we can always use additional money in farmland preservation. We can always use additional money in affordable housing. We can always, well, we've never done this before, but I think that the ability to attract new employees and keep existing employees to have a plan in place to help repay their student loan, I think that's invaluable. And as far as there being additional revenue, the reason why we know it's there is because we already approved it. In the last budget amendment, we saw money from the opioid settlement. We saw money from the election funding from the state. We saw additional gaming funds come in. So there are additional forms of revenue. Unfortunately, the administration did not present that to us as part of their revenue estimates for the budget. The charter prevents us from accessing those funds. It's a zero-sum game. But either way, I think that the money would be better spent on those projects. And ultimately, we do have an authority. It's called the Industrial Development Authority. It hardly ever meets. It's underused. And I believe that this project would be better undertaken under their auspices. Thank you.
Yes.
This is a question. I know this was being taken and then redistributed. It was the 400,000, I believe, for you were going to use this money for the student loan program you want to do? I just want to know what the total amount we would be taking out from the hydroelectric plant and what it was going to, if you would indulge me.
If you could follow, it's $1,147,000 taken, 500,000 to farmland preservation, 347 to affordable housing, and 300,000 to human resources.
Okay, all right. Yeah, a couple things. One is, I think the idea of loan for our, I shouldn't be just pushed aside. I think that is, we need to up our game in bringing in staff. And I know we've been told all the places are filled, but people leave, they discuss it. I do a lot of my own questions when I talk to staff. So I'm open to that, number one. The thing with, though, this grant to the plant, I agree, like this thing's been hanging for years. And they've got to get their act together. I mean, you can only listen to so much about how, well, COVID held me up and supply chain held me up. And, you know, I had to hunt, but I got the tires I needed. It's just what it,
I know.
what I need, what, you know, they have to get on the stick. It can be, everybody has an excuse why, and I get to the point where it's not a reason, it's an excuse. And that being said, I think it's a valuable project, certainly for Lafayette, since I guess they're going to get the benefit. I don't know if the rest of the county will get lower electric rates. I wouldn't wait on that because Lafayette gets it from this. So, I mean, it is a loan, and that's the positive. If it were an out-and-out grant from us, maybe I'd feel different. But I'm willing to give them another year, but I may have a different feel at the end of next year if they don't get something going. I mean, to me, we've seen this with ARP. We've given money out, and we find out it hasn't been spent. Hasn't been spent. Hasn't been spent. It's in their coffers, but well, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that. Enough. You know, everybody has to close their books at some point. I mean, even an experienced hotelier would tell you that at some point, you know, you've got to get it done or jump off. So I would say I'm not concerned about the lawsuit. You know, I watched the meeting, in fairness, 2 sittings. I could only do it in 2 sittings, your Wednesday meeting. I had to go get some more Robitussin. But the thing was,
A little bit of Tussin, huh?
I went from a council that would call employees up and they'd screaming and yelling, and I don't know if it was right, to, at times, I think we're acting like church mice when we hear the word lawsuit or courts. It's like, oh, we gotta be careful. At some point, you know, you're a legislator. You legislate. You make laws. If you're going to be an equal branch of government, be an equal branch of government. I would say, worry less about finding out, is it legal, is it illegal? Are we going? If they sue, they sue. Like I've talked to the solicitor. You get a declaratory judgment. It's not a bad thing, actually. Sometimes we want to get a declaratory judgment. So I would just say, I'm going to vote to keep the money there, not because of lawsuits. I think we get overworked up about lawsuits. Sue, if you want to sue. But I guess I've been through too many in government. But the thing is, I don't appreciate the fact that I listened to the meeting where they came in and talked, and it just sounded to me like a lot of excuses. And I'll vote to keep it, but that doesn't mean I'll be there next year. So I know when you talk to them, you might want to tell them that I don't know if it's going to be a close vote, but a vote could switch. And if they want to go to court by all means. But if we would take the money out, it doesn't automatically mean you're getting sued. It goes back to the administration, and they got to decide if there's a place they can get money from if they want to fund it. I mean, we can't. So that's part of our dilemma, which has been pointed out numerous times. We can't do revenue. So anyway, I just wanted you to know I'm voting yes, and the reason.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, can I make a couple points of clarification? Thanks. This is a 5,000 megawatt system. It has, if you were at the meeting where Michael Kerr came, who is one of the funders, it went from 5 million to 10 million because we actually got an upgraded product. It is different from the Archimedes screw that went in, and those plans were distributed to all of us. The reason why this does take so long is because it is a 5,000 megawatt system. It is an energy project. There are permits that need to be going to go through. It's kind of like the pipeline. You know, it takes a long time to get an energy project like this off the ground. And it's really important that I think, not only to our generation, but to the future, that we do this. And you know, Mr. Cusick brought up farmland preservation. We have fully funded farmland preservation for the past 4 years. We actually pay per acre the highest amount allowed in the state, $4,334. That is set by the state. We can't change that. And we cleared the list this year, I believe, or are going to. Now, we have to have farmers come forward. That's the price that we offer per acre, but the average cost or the average price per acre that's going on the market is $8,300. It's a lot of competition. I agree that we should fund farmland preservation, but not at the cost of this project. I also agree that we should do something for retention for the nurses. But again, we're not going to pay out student loans upon hire. That money can be earmarked later. This is a pending project that we agreed to fund, and I think that we should honor that. I think it's important that we do that. And thank you, Mr. Heckman, for your affirmation. And I understand, I will make sure that Michael Kerr knows next year that he might have a no vote in you, but this year we got you.
You got me. Yeah, you got me. But you're right. The student loan thing, oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to say something.
Oh, by all means.
Mr. Cusick, would you be amenable to amending this?
To what? I'll take any suggestions you might have, Madam
Well,
President.
you know, I've listened, and I don't speak up on this stuff very much, but I understand that all of these projects have value and have some worth, and we may have some option to negotiate. And if farmland preservation is truly fully funded, and we don't need to expend that much money, could we not keep that money in the hydroelectric plant and then just cut the amount that you'd like to take from that and use it toward the other projects?
If you would like to make that motion, I would second it.
That way it becomes more of a win-win. It's less of a burden on the executive, the administration to find the additional money, and it's not a loss. So, somebody help me. Help me do the math, since you're the math teacher. So instead of eliminating that, you'd add 5.
So the motion would be to eliminate the 500,000 from farmland preservation.
But we would just strike that, I guess.
Strike that. and return it to hydroelectric power plant.
So then you'd be eliminating $647,000 instead of the million, correct? You'd amend the motion to eliminate it to $647,000 from hydroelectric.
Yes, the remaining money would go to the student loan program and to affordable housing. And as a point of discussion,
So do I need to make
yeah.
that motion?
if you can, or you can second it. If you-
I need a second.
That's your motion, right?
That would be
That's
my
his
motion, yeah.
It's his, I'll be the second.
Okay.
Now we can make a discussion point on the amendment.
I'll just say, I think it's fair. I think based on what we've seen so far out of this company, this thing is not going to be ready for prime time a year from now. They may need some funding to do the engineering work. They've already spent $300,000. I think this would cover their expenses for any soft costs over that. So I believe that this amendment is reasonable and it would fund what they need for the next year.
Any further, yes?
Well, why would you put $400,000 into a budget for student loans that you're not going to draw from for some time? I mean, again, we're not hiring people and paying their student loans.
Yes,
They
but-
have to work for us for a given period of time. So why would you put that money aside now?
May I answer that, Madam President?
Oh, please do.
Yeah, I think that we have employees right now whose student loans have been on pause, that in a matter of months, they may be required to begin making those payments. So one of the things we can use it for is a tool to retain our current employees as well as something to attract new employees, particularly when we're talking about positions that require a college degree that we have struggled to do so. The Juvenile Justice Center, the caseworkers, we heard from them on a lengthy basis over the course of these 14 hours. So having that program in place will allow us to A, retain current employees, and B, attract future employees. If we just don't do anything now, well, in a couple months, we won't have that tool at our disposal. HR can go out there and say, look, there's a plan here that will enable you to pay back your student loan, even though the salary may be not what you could get in the private sector. As my friend Mr. Heckman has been pointing out, that a younger person, the pension is not quite as valuable when you first come in and you're in your first position. It's more important that you have an incentive like this to attract someone rather than saying that you're going to get a pension in 30 years. So that's why I'm in favor of it, and that's why I'd like to have it in place as soon as possible. And the other part of it is that even if the Supreme Court were to rule that the current executive order is legal, there are people with student loans of more than $10,000.
Oh, yeah. We know.
So it can be useful for those folks that may be in that position as well. So I
But you're
think
not going to
that's,
pay them out immediately.
well, again, that's something that we could discuss in the future. And, but if we don't allocate money, then we don't have anything to do. So I think that the first step for council is to allocate the money, and then we'll have a program that we can develop based on that.
Mr. Lott?
So you want us to allocate money without any details of this plan? Are you planning on paying the entire student loans off? Are you, is this gonna, Mr. McClure probably has a student loan. Are we paying his stuff? You're asking us to fund something with no detail. I mean, where is your detailed plan on this? I hear about detailed plans a lot up here, and now you're asking us to fund something. I want to know, does Mr. McClure qualify for your plan?
You know, I really don't know. And I'll speak for myself. I mean, I was someone who paid off my student loan. You know, I made some sacrifices when I was in my early 20s, and I paid it off. But, you know, had somebody offered me a position where this was a potential incentive, yeah. Would I have looked more closely at it? Absolutely. So I think that this is a tool that we can use to help us recruit some of these young folks that come to us with the burden of student loans. And I know that you want specifics, but if we don't advocate or allocate any money, there's no reason to even talk about specifics. So if we allocate the money, we can get into the details and discuss a plan. But without it, there's no need to move forward.
Is the floor still on?
Go ahead, Mr. Lott.
Well, I would say two things. You want us to allocate the money before a plan, but we have a big problem doing that with our health center. We do not want to, you know, I'm hearing that from you guys. We want more detail. We're not going to allocate this money without more detail. That's what I'm hearing from you guys. But in this case, we don't need detail. We need the money. So you're not being consistent in your ask. So you got to make up your mind. Do we come up with an idea and fund it and then work out the details with the administration? Or do we work out all the details and then go to administration? So I don't think you can have it both ways, John. And that loan, and Mr. Heckman, I disagree with him. Pensions are extremely important. I'm living off a pension. I love a pension. You're right, it's not a great recruiting tool. I learned that because I did a lot of recruiting in my job. But the minute you get a person here and they're here for a year or two and start realizing what they can get, and I just talked to an employee that was here for about a year and a half, and the first thing she said to me was, oh my God, she's an older person. She's close to 40. First time in my life I have a pension.
Older person.
Well, I'm not a young, I consider young 20.
Excuse me.
But that was the first.
Mr. Lott, just one second. Could we keep this tight? We have a lot more to get through. So please continue uninterrupted.
But the point is, pensions are extremely valuable to employees. You're right, they're not the best recruiting, and this could be a better recruiting tool. I'm not against this. I know it aggravates a lot of people that sit like you that said, I did the responsible thing and I paid my student loan back. I've talked to a lot of people in the community that don't think it's such a great idea, but here and there, I agree with you. It's a good recruiting tool. A pension is a good retention tool. And so that is a huge retention tool. But I would like to see, you know, you're saying allocate the money, but with no detail. In the health thing, you're saying, don't allocate the money, we need more detail. I think we have a little bit of, and it just shocks me a little bit.
I'm going to be real brief. You talked about several buckets of money that the administration isn't showing us that they can pay off this hydroelectric plant with. Why don't you ask the administration to go to those buckets of money that they're not showing you to pay for that student loan plan? That is not actually formulated yet.
Mr. Spadoni.
Please. I've weighed in previously, and let me repeat and republish what I said before. The Home Rule Charter binds us to the revenue projections by the administration. Is that clear? It's about the fifth time I've said it.
It's very clear, but he suggests that the administration could go to those buckets of money for the hydroelectric plant. I'm only countering with the same thing to point out the hypocrisy of that notion.
I understand.
Duly noted. Got you.
We had 14 hours of hearings. The administration has presented their budget. We are bound by the revenue projections in good faith. Thank you.
Please.
I think hypocrisy is correct. Some of my colleagues flip-flop all the time, and that's the nature of the beast, depending on the subject and depending on where you fall. I think Mr. Cusick's proposal to provide additional incentive to retain and recruit employees. I think this administration has come to us numerous times, retention bonuses at the end of over the next 4 years. So we're not going to pay them out for 3 or 4 years, but yet the money is sitting there. This body, I voted against it, but you voted to agree to free daycare for our employees. I think it's a bad idea because it's not well defined, to your point, Mr. Lott. What happens to the other 1,800 employees when they want daycare? Right now, we have 50 kids, I think that it's allotted for, and maybe we'll expand it, we'll see. So I think the nature of the incentives is consistent across this body, wanting to provide the incentive, and we're getting bogged down in where that source of funding comes from. Mr. Cusick presents a good opportunity here to be able to do that. To an earlier comment about the breaking of contracts and so on and so forth, contracts are broken all the time and revisited on a constant basis, whether it be changeover from administration, I can speak to that, or from council to council on elected matters. It goes on all the time, and there's probably a dozen or more that are sitting in the solicitor's office that we would never hear about, that are being challenged or refuted in some fashion or other. So the whole idea of, oh, we can't, it's a moral high ground and all that is, I'd like to believe that, but unfortunately, we live in a litigious environment, and that's the nature of the beast. And with the change of councils and the change of administration, those are often reviewed and taken a fresh look at. So it is not an uncommon practice to do exactly what Mr. Cusick is recommending we do. Thank you.
Mr. Hackman.
Ms. Zembo, for the record, I just want to be clear regarding Mr. Cusick and Mr. Lott's comments. I have said that I don't think modern employees pay enough attention to the idea of a pension. I have never said, and if I have, I refute myself, that a pension is a bad thing. I love pensions. I have said pensions are a good thing. I have also said that defined contribution is not a real pension. It was a trick that was used in the late, the guy was on that invented it. He was from Pennsylvania who invented it. It was a way for high-paid executives to hide some of their income and tax shelter it. But then somebody got the bright idea, we can call it a pension and give it to our employees. And we'll match them, but we don't have to worry about future indebtedness. So, I think a defined benefit pension is a great thing. I just want to be clear on that. A defined benefit pension is a great thing. Now, saying that, I do think that in some cases, it will help hire people. I think everything that's been said isn't wrong necessarily. I mean, this isn't necessarily an adversarial thing of you're right, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're right. I think anything that somebody comes up with is worth a discussion and worth investigating. The idea of a student loan, we do have a thing right now where I believe if it's related to the job, we'll pick up part of the, we pick up part of the, if they apply. Now, could we expand on that? I don't want it to just sort of be a college. You're right, we're having a problem with retention of some staff and keeping them. And maybe a program like that would be beneficial. I'd like the administration through Human Resources to help flesh something like that out. And I do understand why you're saying put the money in now. Believe me, I've been around long enough to know. Because you can go and say, hey, we got nothing. But the thing is, I like the idea. I really do. I just would like to see the idea of it fleshed out and with back and forth with the administration. Because I'd like to be for anybody. Not just the student loans in terms of college, but for other positions. We do it for our nurses now. So we have a program in place, not for everybody, but we might be able to use that as a model. And I would hope, seriously hope, that the administration would take the idea of it seriously, that somehow we could reimburse. And I don't want to be the boomer here, but I guess I have no choice if you look at my hair. When I went to college, I mean, I could work a summer at the cement mill or the foundry or one of the steel subsidies, and I could pay, if anybody's in my age range, for a semester, if not almost 2 semesters of college. And the problem we have isn't so much about students lacking or not doing it. It's university costs. I wish the government would get involved. Talk about a cash grab. I mean, what people have to pay now for an education is just ridiculous. I mean, it's a scam in many ways, but I don't want to get off topic. So I will say this.
Far afield.
I hear what you're saying,
We're like at Iron Pig Stadium right
but if we do this tonight, and this is just my thoughts, they're not going to be cooperating that much with you putting a plan together. So I'd like to have a discussion with them during the year. And yes, if somebody wanted to have $400,000, Mr. Solicitor, I'm sure there's a possibility somewhere in cash reserve, somebody could possibly come up with it if that's what they wanted. But I'm not going to touch that right now. So that's the only thing I would say.
Thank you. I would like to call for the vote, close the discussion. I think there's enough said.
This is on the amendment.
Let's make sure we're clear.
Okay.
Well, let Ms. Zembo speak.
We're voting on the amendment to take the money out of, for farmland preservation and leave it with the hydropower plant.
So the statement would be, motion to eliminate $647,000 from hydroelectric power plant for affordable housing, human resources pooled program, operating cost for employee student loan, repayment, recruitment, and retention program. That's how it reads exactly.
Okay, I understand.
Call for the vote.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic? Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
No.
Mr. Lot?
No.
Mr. Myers?
No.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-4.
Okay, so next we have the OSI farmland preservation. Do I need to make a motion to strike that, or we just strike that? Oh, so we voted on the amendment? Okay, so now we need to vote on the actual amended motion.
Which is the 647,000?
Yes.
647,000.
Call for the vote.
Defunding the hydroelectric. Right?
No means you don't want.
We're voting to defund the hydroelectric
You're voting on the same
plant.
thing that I just read, that we amended it to say $647,000. We voted yes to the amendment. Now we're voting on this amendment. To defund, instead of $1,147,000, $647,000 will be taken from the hydroelectric.
Pending vote. Got it. Okay.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
No.
Mr. Myers?
You said yes.
I'm sorry, Carrie, what's your vote?
No.
No, I made a mistake.
If you'd like to amend your vote.
I have to amend my vote. No. No, I voted no for the other, so I'm going to vote no for this. Sorry.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
The defunding for the hydro passes by a vote of 5-4.
Thank you. So next we have OSI farmland preservation, but is that just eliminated? Do I have to vote on that, or how do we proceed? All right, that's just automatically eliminated. So then affordable housing is next. Mr. Cusick, will you make the motion to add the $347,000 to future grants?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Call for the vote.
Wait a second.
Do we need to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this an additional 347,000 that we are defunding the hydro plant?
No, this is the money that was taken from the hydro plant. 347,000 is going there. You have to take out and then you have to put in. It's the
I'm just
same money.
clarifying if we're taking more, because we took out 647. So now we took that out and we're putting it to affordable housing.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Are there discussion on this matter?
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Is there a plan for this affordable housing money? Because I remember when Glendon came in, this, each of, what was it, $1.5 million? Or how much money was it that went to build 5 row homes that they're going to sell for $126,000 that cost about $375,000 to make each individual one? So you're going to defund the hydroelectric power plant to make one townhouse?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure we could reach out to CACLV and have them work with us to make improvements to existing stock as part of the program that they already have in place.
So
We could work with, you know.
So no specific allocation, just
There are
affordable housing?
numerous places where we could use this money to assist in affordable housing. The townhouse project that you mentioned is just one.
There's also what did I say the other day, $10 million of grants that have been issued by the state? We can pull from that as well.
I just want to make a point of clarification. I appreciate everybody's debate, but this is the budget that was given to us. And people took the time, again, to take from one category to move it to another. So what is potentially out there in grants and what the administration chooses to go after is as hypothetical as everything else we've been discussing. I mean, I think at this point, we've been down the road. We know what it is. It's time to get voting because we have a lot more to do. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman? Mr. Lott?
No.
Mr. Myers?
No.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 5 to 4.
Thank you. Next, we have someone make a motion on the human resources. Mr. Cusick, do you care to make the motion to add $300,000 to the pooled program operating costs to initially fund an employee student loan repayment, recruitment, and retention program from hydroelectric power plant?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Call for the vote.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
No.
Mr. Lott?
No.
Mr. Myers?
No.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 5 to 4.
Thank you. Next, we have the hotel room rental tax, 2,000. Someone make a motion to remove $50,000 for Iron Pigs Charities, Coca-Cola Park improvements, and place it in future grants?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So.
How much is it?
This is the first of 50,000, and we're doing something later with that?
This is the $50,000 from the hotel room rental tax, 2,000. This is the money that was in that budget category in that line.
Just the hotel tax?
May I ask?
Yes.
The 50 is being taken out of this to be applied to what? Because we're doing like two-step things here. Which thing are you'd want to do with this 50K?
It's right below it,
Yeah, it is, but it's too.
which doesn't add up.
So
It's going
no
to
specific
future.
person.
No.
Person.
Just taking it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
No.
Mr. Myers? Ms. Fargo Hefner?
No.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Giovanni?
No.
Mr. Heckman?
No.
Mr. Myers? Fails by a vote of 7 to 2.
Next, someone make a motion to remove $100,000 from pooled communications that it could be replaced with state grant monies and give to Human Resources pooled program operating costs to initially fund an employee student loan repayment, recruitment, and retention program.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Tom?
I don't know where we are right now.
Is this in addition to what the money we just took away from the hydroelectric plant?
This has nothing to do with that.
Hydro's done, I think.
It is removing $100,000 from pooled communications in the conduct of elections fund to be replaced with state grant monies and give to Human Resources, pooled operating, program operating cost.
It's adding an additional 100,000 to the
That
loan.
was my question.
But it's not coming from the category, it's coming from elections.
So we're voting to defund the elections?
Yes.
Okay, just to make that clear.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I watched the thing, as I said, you're on TV, your meeting. And Mr. Cusick pointed out something, and we have the administration here, whether they can or can't, I don't. My thing is, Mr. Cusick brought up something, we went to the District 6 office. Now, when this was brought up during the year, we had people who were shaking their heads before we got the question out of our mouths, no, you can't do it. Every other county said they could use it basically unlimited, including Lehigh County, and we have somebody here tonight. So, Mr. Barron, I'd like to know, since you're taking the opposing view, both of you.
You got it.
What are you basing it on that the other counties are doing wrong?
I'm not basing it on that. What I'm basing it on is what you were told by District 6 is not accurate. We did reach out to some of the elections officers across District 6 to find out what they are doing. First and foremost, Lebanon County said that they haven't started to scratch the surface of this yet. They don't know what monies they're going to be realizing. Other counties haven't gotten back to us because they are at the registrar's conference at this time. But we also did hear from another county that has recognized that they can only take about 30%. Mr. Cusick was given the FAQs from the State Department as to what we can and cannot spend this money for. We don't know what the impact of this is yet, but this is not a revenue. This is a deferred revenue. So we cannot pull down any of this money until we've expended this money. So we have to buy the ballots before we can offset the cost for the ballots. But it's also only presently for the primary ballots. It is not for the general election ballots because that has not been settled. That will be done after June. No, we don't know what the impact of this is going to be. We don't know how well this is going to work. And as I've explained in the past, they are also requiring us to do many other things that were not previously required, a lot of which we have already been able to do, but we now have to employ more people to open up ballots faster. And in this past election, we came close to 12 o'clock, but we did not hit it. And that's with one of the higher speed units. We're going to be with the ARP money buying a new one, but we're probably going to need a second one to keep up with the speed and the number of these units we're going to need just for the presidentials that will come up. So we don't know what the impact of this is, and we don't have those monies yet. This is something that would make a lot of sense when we've actually seen. We haven't drawn down a single dime because we can't do so until we actually have invoices. So we don't know the impact.
I understand what you're saying on that point, but I guess when this was first discussed, because we're talking revenue tonight.
Sure.
This is how everybody on council, this is how you earn your 9,500. The thing is, though, when it was presented, we were told there's extreme limitations on how it can be used. Now, I would request that somebody speak, just as the executive is now, speak with Lehigh County elections, because they were one of the counties who said that there weren't that many restrictions on the use of this money. Now, I know what you're saying. It's not up front. You're going to have to show. But I certainly would like us to take full advantage of anything. And I'm only bringing it up because it came up in the meeting.
Mr. Cusick had asked for the information. I had shared it with him. I'd be more than happy to give everyone else the FAQs and the law as it is prescribed, what it allows us to spend money on. we're not allowed to pay the election staff on election day. We're only allowed to pay people who are working the canvass. We're not allowed to pay.
I understand the question, though, because, I mean,
The law is very clear, and everyone had the law available to them. It only prescribes 8 elements for which we are allowed to take this money down. If people are trying to be creative, that's great, but we have to submit these charges to the Department of State, the Department of Economic Development, as well as the minority and majority leaders for the House and Senate, who will take umbrage with people, depending on where you stand on that argument, as to how we use the money. And we want to make sure that we are using the money entirely accurately. But 2 counties have already said that they did not, 2 District 6 counties have already said that, 1, they're not using all the money, that they can't. The 1 county that indicated that they only figuring 30% are also drawing down against their primary. So we're not imagining that we have this money.
I'm asking because.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
County
I really do.
conference, and I mean, commissioners don't always know what's happening in the election things.
Yeah, no, we asked the registrars.
I mean,
Yeah.
but, you know, we were sort of like hit with a shotgun blast to the face, and Ms. Zirinsky was there too. I'm sure she'd say, it was like, wow.
As an example, and I just saw this today.
That's why I wanted to find out from you.
From the Sheriff's Department, who does all of the work in securing the building, making sure everything is appropriate. They go out and pick up the drop boxes for us so that we don't have to employ more people in the elections office. That whole effort that they put, picking up ballots every day, maintaining the security here for the drop box and to keep extra hours, came out to a whopping $13,000 against $1,138,000. It's not that impressive. It's going to be very hard to get this money, and we want to see how it works. And although I'm a huge Flyers fan, I wear the white jersey, I wear the blackout jersey, but orange doesn't look good on me.
Mr. Jertinger, with this particular pool of money, have they projected what amount this county could receive?
No, we have received it. The money
How much did we receive?
I want to be exactly, $1,136,453.76, based on the.
Say that number again, I'm sorry.
1,136,45.76.
Okay, so minus $100,000, what might not kill us then, correct?
We cannot draw, we are not.
At this time? But
Based on-
potentially, we can possibly draw $100,000, potentially, maybe.
Potentially, if we don't have to expend any other monies for all the new things that they're requiring us to do.
Okay,
Like having our elections done by 12 o'clock at night in a presidential election, that's going to require a lot more people. We put a lot more people on this year.
That's
We
not
doubled the
next
number
year,
of people.
correct? That's
I'm
not
sorry?
next year, right?
That's not next year, but we're still responsible for that every year.
Okay,
And again, that money is only based on this cycle of their budget, which brings us from July to June. It does not guarantee that there will be any money for next year based on what they've sent out of their first 45 million.
okay. Any other discussion? Yes.
Mr. Heckman, I believe, brought up the fact that Lehigh County agreed with Mr. Jertinger, and we do have a member of Lehigh County here. Would he be able to confirm that?
I
If
don't
you
know
would
if he
recognize
can,
him.
and I don't know if I want him to. I mean, he's not the director of elections.
It would be really unfair to put him on the spot in this regard. I mean, one of the things that I think we came very close to doing, which is violating an unwritten rule that we have, and I'm not talking about Mr. Mulchaney now, I'm talking about us, and we don't stick our nose in their day-to-day, and they don't stick, their nose
Said
into
that 'cause
ours.
I saw him shaking his head
Yeah.
as Mr. Heckman
Yeah,
was
okay.
talking.
That's my point of view.
I got you.
So if there's no further discussion, can we call for the vote?
Explain what the vote would be, please.
The vote would be to remove $100,000 from pool communications under the conduct of elections, as it could be replaced with these state grant monies, and give it to human resources to initially fund the student loan repayment, recruitment, and retention program.
Yes, thank you.
This is an additional, just to make sure, it's an additional 100,000 to 300 we've already put there.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni? Yes. Mr. Myers?
No.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
No.
Mr. Heckman?
No.
Mr. Lott?
No.
Fails by a vote of 4 to 5.
Next, we have Department of Human Service, oh, no, sorry. Grow Norco. Would someone make a motion to, I'll make a motion to remove $5,000 from Iron Pigs Charities and provide $2,500 to Godfrey Daniels and $2,500 to Touchstone Theater. Will someone second this motion?
Second.
Who's the second? Thank you. Any discussion?
A time-honored tradition that council members have the right to give a few dollars here and there to charities of their choice. So I just wanted to say, I'll vote yes on this.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
We're only doing Godfrey Daniels, and what's the total we're taking it from?
No, it's removing 5 from
Yes, 5,000.
2,500 to Godfrey Daniels, 2,500 to Touchstone Theater.
And where, how much of what? Is it the 100?
$5,000.
In the total?
I believe the total was 125 in that category, but I'm not sure.
But you're only taking 5,000 out.
Yes, I'm only taking 5.
Yeah, you're only eliminating
Yes, Ms. Zirinsky.
Is it my understanding that they applied for grants and they were given the amounts that they asked for? And this is just additional that you just want to
Yes.
give to them?
And yes,
That's
as I-
unallocated?
Yes, I answered that, and you asked that Tuesday, and the answer is the same, yes and yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yes and yes.
So she didn't, I did.
I apologize. I knew somebody on that end did. Yes and yes. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
No.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 7 to 2.
Thank you. Can someone make a motion to remove $20,000 from Iron Pigs Charity and provide funding for Borough of Bath for a master long-range parks and recreation improvement plan?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Now, to be clear from this, if we take this 25,000 out of that, what will the Iron Pigs retain?
In this category, under
Yes.
Grow Norco, there's 100,000 left.
Okay.
This is from
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point about this. You know, earlier we heard from folks from Lehigh County. One of the things that I think should be brought up at this time is that Lehigh County does receive a portion of the gaming revenue, so there is sharing that goes on there. I would also point out that the city of Allentown is the beneficiary of something known as the NIZ, or Neighborhood Improvement Zone, which pumps a ton of state money into that area. Now, I know the stadium's not in that area, but the city benefits from it. There's no such entity like that in Northampton County. So I think, you know, regionalism seems to be fine sometimes in one direction. But I think it's worth pointing out that there is revenue that comes from sources here that do go there. And I think we've had a long discussion about the transportation study and how it seems like we've wound up on the short end of many of those discussions. So I think taking some of this money and investing it in the borough of Bath is certainly a better investment. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
while we're on that particular subject, I agree that we need to give some money to the city of Bath, the borough of Bath, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
They love the city.
You know, I think it's awfully important because, you know, that we're still giving money to the Iron Pigs, but we're also helping one of our other communities. That's important too. So I will be voting to make sure that the borough gets money to come up with an ironclad plan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to clarify my votes because now we're getting into some other things. This is a matter of are the Iron Pigs deserving or not deserving? Bath, I mean, you're going to make some choices here where you think it's of better use. Or you think it's more needy. Again, I'm not going to go through it. I think Mr. Landis made a good case, and baseball is my first love sport. I mean, you know, from center field to second base until I got my finger mangled. But I mean, the thing is, I question, I mean, we have a multi-billion-dollar franchise in the Phillies who gratefully went to the World Series, and hopefully they go again this year. I mean, we're talking about money that Harper makes in like 3 hours here or something like that. And I mean, I would hope that the mothership would have some, I mean, you've signed the lease, and I'm not saying take everything from them, but I was around when the whole thing started. I was around when they had the deal was cut with the state, who would get the casino, who would get, I know everyone said that would never happen, and who would get the ballpark. I'm just saying I heard something to that effect. So the thing is, and I may have even seen the document, but at the end of the day, I don't want the Iron Pigs to fold. But this is, in some ways, though, it's like when you go to the CVS or I go to Giant and they say, would you give $1 for our charity in this, or would you add $1 for that? And I'm like, why am I giving Giant or CVS $1 to put in their charity that the guy goes and he hands a check and smiles in front of the cameras? I mean, you make enough money. You've seen the cost of food. Use your own money. So, I mean, in the sense of it, we talk about taxes. We talk about being responsible. I've never voted for a tax increase since 11 budgets. I voted for 2 cuts. So I'm very responsible with taxpayer money. You have to make distinctions. What are you for? What are you not for as much? Bath, God bless them. I mean, Bath, Rosetto, Walnutport, East Bangor. I mean, these are little boroughs that just don't have Bangor. All right, I'll Bangor. Glendon. I mean, Ms. Hefner's having a cow here, so we'll just put it this way.
It's 9 o'clock. We have much more to do.
Well, this is what we get paid.
Wrap it up.
This is what we do.
Wait a minute, are you the executive now? Anyway, the thing is, look,
Not in my lifetime.
I will say this, that this isn't it becomes contentious, but it shouldn't have to. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what do you think needs it more? And poor Bath, they put in for grants they haven't gotten. I don't know why. And they'll call me because they still think I'm affiliated with Bath. But I'm going to vote to give this to Bath because God bless them, they need it. We got to help our boroughs.
Any other discussion on this matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
No.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 7-2.
Thank you. Next, we have a motion to remove $100,000 from Iron Pigs Charities Coca-Cola Park improvements and place it in future grants. Is someone willing to make that motion?
Motion. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion on this motion.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
To what is that $100,000 being allocated towards?
Place in future grants.
I know, for what?
Future
Specifically?
grants.
Just future grants?
Yep,
So
that's it.
undesignated, would the Iron Pigs be able to apply for those future grants?
Absolutely.
So they could reapply for the money that we're reallocating from the grant that was allocated in the budget. Wouldn't that be fun?
I don't think it would be fun.
I'd like to make a point.
May I say something?
Yes, sure.
It's just like yesterday, you said, well, there's other money that Bath can get from other grants. It's the same thing. I don't understand the discussion.
No, I was talking about different pile of money. So that's fine, I understand what you're saying.
I'd like to make a point. I agree with putting it in future grants. I understand the argument. Tonight, I'm feeling in the spirit of collaboration, so what I'd like to do is make a motion to amend this from,
We got a motion
oh,
there.
I'm sorry.
We're
Would
voting.
Mr. Gafredo be willing to entertain a friendly amendment?
I could rescind my motion.
Huh?
Rescind.
Would you do so?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'd like to suggest that,
I'll remove my second.
thank you, thank you. I'd like to suggest that this be dropped from 100 to 50,000, that we allow them to retain 50. They have 50 in the other pile. They get 100,000. We've taken some for the projects that we have directly allocated, and it seems to be a fair compromise all around.
Could we-
That's my suggestion. If not, I'll,
Can I add a suggestion to your suggestion?
sure, suggest away.
I was a little disappointed that the Hotel Bethlehem amendment got shot down. Would we be able to, instead of allocating this to future grants,
Wait,
be able to allocate it towards the grant that Mr. Haynes requested for, I believe it was the Chamber of what was it, Chamber of Commerce?
Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce.
is it in the same
Website?
budget category under Grow Norco?
That I don't know.
We haven't gotten that. No, that's a different thing.
And
We
it
haven't
can't
gotten
go,
to that yet.
you can't go from department to department? I thought it just had to be.
I thought it was under the Grow Norco grant.
Okay.
Oh, it was in
Hotel tax.
wrong
It's
category.
under
Hotel tax.
hotel tax, so no, you can't do that.
Okay.
Good try.
Well, Tina's sitting in the back saying no, so I don't know.
It's two different grants, there's two different buckets of money.
Yes.
And certain things can be from one bucket and certain things can be from other buckets. You can't.
But that's not the bucket. How about 75,000?
So he could reapply under future grants. So my offer was
Are
50,
you making a motion or just?
my offer was motion to remove $50,000 from the Iron Pigs charity and place it in future grants, and then allowing 50,000 to remain, and that means they'd get a total of $100,000 this year from us.
I'll
I
second.
thought we already took 50 out.
We did, I don't believe that passed.
It didn't.
Oh, it didn't pass, okay,
I'll second that.
It
Just
didn't
checking.
pass.
all right.
Mr. Gafredo, are you comfortable with that? Or you want to keep it
Yeah.
yours, or?
No.
All right,
Madam President, can I ask
Yes.
you a question? Just clarification. This has nothing to, what we're doing now has nothing to do with the giving Hotel Bethlehem their money. That's
No.
a separate vote
That's a
coming
different,
on.
that's a different item.
that's a separate vote that didn't pass yesterday. If he wants to bring it up again, I'll
Oh, okay.
allow for that. But he was just suggesting that we could move that money, and apparently we can't, it's separate funds.
All right, I'll wait for Mr. Brown's, I mean, not to tip my hand, who cares? I want to see, we gave them so much money already to get to this point with Hotel Bethlehem. It seems kind of foolish not to
We haven't
extend
gotten to that yet.
the
So,
extra.
but can we stay on the Iron
Well, I will,
Pigs
but
right
I
now,
wanna know
please,
what I'm-
please,
I want to
please?
know what I'm voting for.
Right
This
now,
is
you're
very
voting on
confusing tonight.
$50,000 from the Iron Pigs charity and placing it in future grants. That's what you're voting on,
All right.
period.
Clarification?
Yes,
Combined now with what we just did earlier in this one, they would give the Iron Pigs a total of $100,000?
yes.
That's what we're voting on. Okay.
Anything else? Call for the vote.
On the amendment.
On the amendment.
Vote to amend
Yes, we have to
the
amend it,
motion.
correct?
They rescinded their
No, they rescinded the motion.
Okay,
so-
now we made another one.
Right. Ms. Fargo Hefner,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman,
Yes.
Mr. Lott. No. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
I'll vote yes.
Passes by a vote of 8-1.
Thank you. Do I need to take another vote on that, or is that the motion and is it done?
That's done. Now to get
Thank
100
you.
grand.
Now, there were other items.
I should have voted no.
The other items were administration revised. All right, where
If
am
they
I?
want to consider the Hotel Bethlehem, they have to make a motion at this point to then take money and from where they're going to take it from.
Wait a second.
Isn't that,
Let Ms. Zimbo talk, and then you can, she's trying to tell you what we need to do next.
If you're looking to give Hotel Bethlehem money, you have to figure out from the hotel tax, someone has to make that motion because it didn't pass from yesterday to be presented today. So a whole new motion has to be made in order for council to vote on it.
and
Right.
what specifically, will, just make a motion that we take the money from future grants for that? Is that the motion? Because we just put money in there.
She's stating that there is no motion at this time. Ms.
I'd like to
Zambo
make
is
a
trying to
motion.
clarify procedure.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
They had asked for 75,000, they received 12,500. So what you're gonna do is take money from future grants and put it into 62,500, I think it was, to make it 75. So actually, what we're doing is increasing their amount.
Okay, I thought previously we just voted on amending the $100,000 and amending it to $50,000. So I thought we had to.
Motion, he rescinded his motion, I created a new motion.
So we didn't have to vote to amend it and then vote on it.
Right.
That's
we
all
just
I was
did it.
clarifying.
We just did it, we're done.
Okay. All right, just, I thought we needed to
Thank you.
backtrack there for a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just?
Yes.
So we voted on it.
Ms. Zambo still has the floor.
Can I just ask Ms. Smith if I'm correct?
You gonna come up from, Tina?
Just to make sure that we're doing the right thing?
Yeah, because
That failed yesterday. Is that what you're saying?
it did.
Yes, it
Tuesday.
failed yesterday to be brought
And
forward.
Sina, not trying to be.
I'm
really
sorry,
don't
can you repeat the question?
Question is if we make a motion to increase it to 75,000 for the chamber, the money comes out of the future grant fund, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the only place to take it from, because everything else
Right.
has already been allocated. We've gotten $1.3 million in requests with a $600,000 pot to disperse, and so everybody received a haircut.
But so that's the right category to take it from?
Yes, that would be the only place to take it from,
Okay, let's proceed.
out of, for hotel tax.
Then don't we have to cut something?
No.
So-
These future grants has already been there.
Well,
But there-
Mr.
And I don't know what the balance of future grants is, so you may want to ask
Brandon?
Brandon or Steve, because I don't have my budget information with me presently.
Understand. And we've moved a bunch of things around.
Yeah.
773.
Do you have that, Brandon?
Mr. Gafredo.
I'd like to make a
Oh,
motion
before we get it,
to allocate $62,500 from future grants to the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce Foundation.
second.
Didn't we just say that it had come from hotel?
So it goes to the hotel.
Any discussion? Wait, Linda's writing it. Just wait till she gets,
We cut it yesterday.
I need her to finish what she's doing. You got it? Mr. Lott?
Well, this one's tough for me, it's, like Ron said, it seems like they went through, they went through, we funded step one, step two, or however you want to do it, and now we're kind of on the, get the rest out. So we've heard from Mr. Haynes, I would like to hear from Tina, Ms. Smith, about why they reduced it, and who sits on that committee that makes that decision? Would you be willing to give us that information?
Sure. There is a committee formed, myself, Mr. Barron, Commissioner Myers was on there. I think Council President Hefner was invited to participate, or there was a second council person, I don't know who it was, because Mr. Myers was the only one who was able to attend. We've got nonprofit leaders from the community who also sit on this committee, so that there's outside organizational input. Basically, I could share with you that committee conversation from my memory months ago when this occurred was that members of the committee felt that an additional website was redundant, and if you search hotel or downtown Bethlehem or historic Bethlehem, there's at least 5 other additional websites that pop up. And so essentially, Mr. Haynes, through our $185,000, built a beautiful website. However, we felt that we've already done our due diligence in funding that project. And remember that this money is competitive application. So he's competing with Arts Quest. He's competing with Historic Bethlehem Museum and Sites. He's competing with every other entity. We try very hard to be diligent about spreading the hotel tax revenue around to all of our municipalities within the county. And by far, Bethlehem does get
the lion's share of that amount, as does the city of Easton, for obvious reasons. They've got the biggest attractions, the biggest entities, but frankly, the committee just felt that at this point, it was a duplication of services, and with his opportunity to work with the DBA and for-profit businesses, that the Chamber of Commerce should then be going out and soliciting the businesses who are benefiting from the site to help sponsor and pay for that going forward.
One other question. I'm not sure if you or Bruce will be able to give me an answer, but the city of Bethlehem, have they gotten involved in this project?
To my knowledge, not. As a matter of fact, Northampton County is the biggest funder of the UNESCO initiative.
Thank you.
May I ask?
Wait, I have a question. So this isn't coming from the UNESCO Marketing Fund? This is coming from the Greater Lehigh Chamber of Commerce, correct? Where, the foundation?
The Chamber Foundation has to be the applicant because they are the nonprofit entity. Hotel Bethlehem is for-profit, and therefore they're not eligible.
But the Bethlehem UNESCO Heritage Marketing is also getting money. So
Correct, which is
that the
done
same
through,
fund?
no, well, it's the same pot, but that is a separate, run by Historic Bethlehem Museum and Sites, which is to build the dossier, have the folks come and visit and do the site tours and that type of work. So UNESCO funding as a whole, we've done much more than this $185,000 for a website. We've given the whole UNESCO initiative additional money.
Yes, Mr. Brown. Oh, you were finished, correct?
Yes, thank you.
With the UNESCO effort and the funding of that is about getting the city of Bethlehem designated worldwide as one of the top tier historic sites to visit. It's not about marketing the city of Bethlehem or the 1 square mile of the businesses in the city of Bethlehem. It's a completely different focus, and a lot of the efforts of UNESCO were originated with Mr. Haynes and a number of other individuals right there. So it's called marketing, but that it's about building the application and lobbying the worldwide organization to grant that designation. That's separate from marketing, attracting tourism. They're eventually, one will complement the other, but they are separate and distinct in their focus.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Correct.
Yes,
I
Mr.
have one
Lott.
other question, because I really am sitting on the fence on this one.
No, this is only council discussion, and council can only ask questions.
Is
No, I'm sorry, there's people trying to ask questions from the audience. I want to clarify. Go ahead, Mr. Lott. Thank you.
But is there, and maybe Tina doesn't know this answer, maybe Mr. Haynes does, is there any other, Mr. Haynes has been very generous in this, said he would put a third up, I believe. Is there any other businesses jumping in the game from Main Street?
Actually, Mr. Haynes would be better versed. I know that there are other sponsors that logos are displayed on the website. I have no idea to what dollar amount that they've contributed or what Mr. Haynes and the DBA has done with that funding.
Would you like to ask Mr. Haynes?
If it's all right.
Yeah, I just can't have him speak on top of Tina.
Yes, I'd like, if we could get an answer to that, if anybody else has got financially involved with this project.
I think the best way to answer that question is to go back to talking about Hotel Bethlehem, Mr. Haynes, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, this was my idea, our idea, to take what was going to happen with World Heritage that got funded, and it should not be called World Heritage Marketing. That's a misnomer on the budget. It should just be called World Heritage, because the marketing, we got the $185,000 to do the marketing for Historic Bethlehem, which is much more than just the World Heritage site. It's marketing all the businesses downtown, it's marketing Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites, it's marketing Moravian College, it's marketing the Sun Inn. It was all the entities that exist in Historic Bethlehem that make Historic Bethlehem such a great place. In addition to marketing the Museum of Industrial History, because we're about a heritage marketing initiative. The only way to make that initiative go was to build a new website, because all the other entities had their own websites. But the DBA website only promoted the businesses, and the HBMS website only promoted HBMS museums. And Moravian College only did Moravian College, and the Sun Inn's website was only doing the Sun Inn. So what I came to county executive, in fact, it was Mr. Brown at the time, and said, we've got an opportunity here because we just got, this put on the tentative list. So we can now take that, what we got, and market it. We finally got a chance to go market Historic Bethlehem, which already had gotten the USA Today top 15. So the only way to really create the brand was to build the website. So with all due respect, we didn't create another website just to create another website. We did it to create a brand and market everything that included all the other websites.
Mr. Haynes, in this.
Subsequent to that.
I need you to be very succinct
Okay.
because we are at 9:20 and I have many other
Okay.
agenda items
Okay.
to get to that must be done this evening.
So at the end of the day, the DBA has now adopted the brand, so there is no two websites anymore. The DBA website is visithistoricbethlehem.com. And to answer your question on the other businesses, I never went to the other businesses to fund this because basically they're all a bunch of mom and pop businesses in downtown Bethlehem at the end of the day. And so we just, we got the funding from the tourism, from the hotel tax, which is about tourism. I mean, that's what that's why we collect the hotel tax, so that we can promote tourism. And that's what the hotel tax should be used for. So that's it. If I get funded here again, we're certainly going to try to get the Hyatt and other people down there to help with the match. But right now, I'm committing the whole match. So that's it.
In Bethlehem, I would recommend, maybe get the city of Bethlehem in the game too, in the future.
They're very focused on the south side.
Are there any other questions or comments? Mr. Heckman and then Mr. Gafredo.
No, in fairness, I had my hand up before Mr. Brown or Mr. Lott. So anyway, no, that's okay. It's not your job. The thing is, I'm sorry, Tina, but I got to ask you before you leave, if you could come up again, because that's why I wanted to ask while you were there.
People get their steps in.
I wish I would have brought my pillow.
I'm sorry, that's why. I wanted to
Sorry, it's a
talk to you
long
when you were
day
there.
for everybody.
The question I have is, on this, so you're saying how much is in your future grants right now?
That's what I don't have my budget information.
773? Thank you. Okay. And so that's what we would be taking it out from, the 773, if this were to pass.
Correct.
All right. And the other thing would be that I believe it would go to the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, right? To go through.
Correct.
And they're taking, what, a 3% administrative
Correct.
fee?
Yes.
Why don't they do it gratis?
It's a good question for them. I mean,
That is a good question
they've
for
got staff to pay as well, so.
Well, all right. But, all right, so thank you. No, and that's all I had.
Okay.
I have for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
May I ask the clerk a question?
Yes.
It would really help me to not ask more questions. How much money is left for the Iron Pigs at this point after everything we did?
I believe it was 100,000, right?
we left them with.
They have 100, so we could take money from them yet, too, if we wanted to.
No.
No.
Well, no,
No, because it's
I'm sorry,
different,
you
it's
could.
different grants.
Well, no,
Yes, you could. There's
if I said I
50,000.
wanted
I'm sorry,
to give
yes, yes.
10,000 to
Ron,
the
yes,
Bath
there's
Hotel.
yes, and the money that you were asking about before was from the Roanoke.
Yeah.
There is still 50,000 left in this pool that you could take.
50,000 for the Iron Pigs.
That's left in this pool, yes.
You said 100.
Another
That's
pool
on the
of
other
money
pool.
could be the contingency account.
Well, oh, yes, I know. But, so right as of now, the Iron Pigs are going to get $50,000 from us.
100.
50 from hotel, 50 from Norco.
Jeez, unbelievable. Okay. And I believe Mr. Haynes told us when he did this the first time, we were talking about regional I don't think Lehigh County gave a nickel for the Main Street initiative because they said the county line is there. So I think we have to keep that in mind. But thank you. I appreciate you letting me ask that question.
Let me try to get it all back. I'm going back on old conversations about hypocrisy and all. I think we are dealing with something that will directly benefit not only the Bethlehem area, but, you know, we get revenue from a hotel tax from Hotel Bethlehem. And Hotel Bethlehem is not going to be the only business on Main Street that is going to benefit from, as Mr. Haynes described, developing a brand for Bethlehem, not just on a regional scale, but on a national scale or on a world scale. And the implications of that could be huge. And when I'm looking at giving $100,000 to build dugouts or, you know, baseball operations for an extremely profitable organization, and then we're going to quiver over this, I just don't understand what the argument is. I think this is a huge benefit for everybody at the table and everybody in the county. So I will absolutely be supporting it.
Any other comments? Call for the vote. Repeat the motion, please.
The motion was to take 62.5 from future grants and give it to the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And it will bring their totals of 75, which was their original ask.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yep.
Yes. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky? Passes by a vote of 9-0.
Thank you. Next, will Mr. Giovanni, if he's still here with us. Your voice is like the only one left. Could you introduce a resolution adopting the amendments to the budget? And then I assume
Which one do we get?
we will get a revision tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay.
What about the revised projection?
Should I just do it since it's in front of me?
Okay. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that the proposed 2023 Northampton County Capital Improvement Plan shall be nope, I'm sorry, wrong one. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that the proposed 2023 Northampton County budget shall be amended as indicated on the attached document.
Which again will be amended for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So everything we just did, everything we just amended is what we're voting on.
Can I have a point of clarification then? We do have this additional administration revised projections.
That's projections that the administration has to put into the budget, so we have to amend it. They were given to us from the administration.
Will that be part of this vote?
Yes,
Okay, why weren't they discussed?
because it's something on the administrative side that we don't have control over.
Okay.
It's so you pass a balanced budget and conform with the home rule charter. That's why we do it ahead of time, so we can make sure we pass a balanced budget.
Okay, so it's worth mentioning what's in here, $600,000, which is the remainder of the elections integrity grant. Capital, the Leesmore Pine, that money is gone.
Yes.
As I had projected a long time ago. Open Space Initiative, we're adding money to that. Increased fund balance, OSI, county parks.
That is those are projects, sorry. Yes. Thank you for refreshing my memory. It's late. Those are projects that were projected to be completed that are now completed.
Okay. Act 13 bridge improvements.
Are not completed, I apologize. It's late.
Okay.
Yeah, we know. We know.
Act 13 bridge improvements, that's an increase of $330,000. Why is that? I mean, these just came up to us today.
Same thing. It's so you pass a balanced budget. These are the changes of the projections.
Okay.
Happens every year.
So I just want to say that I'm glad to see that we're including the $600,000 for the election integrity grant. Thank you.
Mrs. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Barron, I'm sorry you keep walking back and forth. You gotta just hang there. You're right, we have to pass a balanced budget. I think that's letter number 1 in the Home Rule Charter. But the thing is, we just got these yesterday.
Yes,
So
and
I
you
think-
always get them the day before the budget meeting
So
every
you'll go to the
year.
bank on the day before, we always get it.
Yes. Duran used to do the exact same thing.
All right.
Linda's shaking her head, yes.
Yes,
She's
all
been
right, I
here
just
longer
wanted
than
to
me.
know.
Nope, that's fine. No, I got you. Just, I,
Sometimes a yes or a no is more than sufficient. You have the problem I have, that's why I can say that to you. So anyway,
Is there
thank
any
you,
other
thank you.
discussion on this
Vote?
resolution? Call for the vote.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo. Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the adoption of the 2023 Northampton County Capital Improvements Plan. Is that correct?
Which one's that?
No. Did I do this right? No, I'm missing something. I'm missing the actual budget itself.
Yeah.
And I'm missing it, so I'll just state, all right. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that the following 2023 Northampton County budgets incorporated by reference hereto shall be adopted as amended this first day of December 2022. Number 1, the general fund, 2, special revenue funds, and 3, capital projects funds. So introduced, any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
My throat's thrown.
Yeah, okay. Next, I have resolved by the Northampton County Council that the proposed 2023 Northampton County Capital Improvements Plan shall be adopted on this first day of December 2022. Discussion? Call for the vote.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers. Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have the adoption of the 2023 Real Estate Tax Millage Rate Ordinance. Misters Heckman and Zirinsky introduced this ordinance at the November 17, 2022 meeting. Are there any questions or comments from the public regarding this? Any questions or discussion from council? Call for the vote.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Next, we have a public hearing of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance of the County Council of Northampton County authorizing the conveyance of .95 acres by the County of Northampton for the return of .986 acres of real property as part of the Norbath Trail. Ms. Zirinsky and Mr. Myers introduced this on November 17, 2022. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Is there any discussion from council? Call for the vote.
Ms. Zirinsky.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Mr. Gofredo.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Lot.
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Okay. Next, we have a public hearing of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Regarding an Employee Health Center Funded by Spending from the 2023 Proposed and Adopted Budget. Misters Gofredo and Giovanni introduced this ordinance at November 17, 2022 meeting. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
Oh, it's this one.
I understand that I am not a member of the public, but I thought it was important. I was afraid I might not be recognized otherwise. I do want to follow in Mr. in Heckman's steps today and make it abundantly clear that if my line item veto is overridden, I will not be seeking any student loan reimbursement from Northampton County. I'm going to make sure. Oh, Mr.
was his question.
It was his question, but you clarified your position on pensions being a good thing. And I wanted to make sure that the public understood.
Pensions are a good thing.
Yes, and Lamont McClure will not seek any student loan reimbursement. All right. Local 1265 asked me, they're moving Northampton County forward. Good evening, Council. We are writing this letter in support of the Partnership Health Center proposed by our county executive, Mr. McClure. As you all know, healthcare cost is currently rising throughout the country, and I cannot see the cost coming down in the near future. The county has secured a very good health plan for county employees, and the cost to employees has not risen since the plan has been in effect. With this in mind, introducing a Partnership Health Center would enhance the current plan in effect. Along with the extra benefits that are already in place, Teladoc and CanaRx. Being able to go to a facility dedicated to the employees and dependents of Northampton County would offset the cost the county pays for health care now, and would also take some of the burden off the employees who pay for their co-pays. Keep in mind, our current health plan would not go away, and since the county is self-insured, this would benefit the county also. The officers and members of AFSCME Local 1265 are in full support of Mr. McClure's plan to implement a Partnership Health Center. With this being said, AFSCME Local 1265 is encouraging County Council to approve the proposed Partnership Health Center. Respectfully, Dennis A. Hendricksey, President, Local 1265. 1265 is our single largest collective bargaining unit in Northampton County. A county is 66% of its employees are unionized. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any discussion from council?
Is this the thing of the ordinance we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
I read the ordinance. I disagree with some who say it's to kill it. I don't see that. I went through and actually looked at all Mr. McClure's comments, some of which actually I did agree with, some of which I think are his opinion, as we have opinions too. I hate to get into the legal stuff because until a judge tells me, to me, that's an opinion. But a learned opinion, but still an opinion. You know, for example, yeah, we can't force the employees to do another survey. I mean, they've done one, we can't make them do it. We can't make them reply, no more than he can. I do, at some points, though, take umbrage with the whole, we have everything, we have everything, we have, I just got information on Lycoming County from our solicitor on their contract, and I have to review that. And I'd like to keep in mind that Lycoming County, while it is what, the college is the Harvard of the North or something? Central Pennsylvania, is the largest county in the state by area with a population of like 114,000. So I mean, you know, I don't want to compare us too much to them. They put it out and they got replies from Work Partners, Marathon Health, Care Team, Activate Healthcare, Care ATC Incorporated, HealthStat. So, plus, you know, Integrity. So, I mean, I'm not against this. I mean, it's come to a thing, if you even question it, you're against it. I hope that's not where we've come to in council. I just don't know. I don't have enough information. I'm glad that some people are so confident and so comfortable with this. I'm still going through some of the information. In fact, I'm waiting for some, I went through Mr. Goffredo's information that he got. I thought some of the answers were a bit new car brochure-ish instead of getting to the point. But be that as it may, I mean, even they're offering a lot of opinions. So I sent some questions on, and I'll see what I get from them. I'm not ready to vote on this tonight. If I had to vote on this tonight, not this ordinance, but on this healthcare center, at best it would be an abstention, and at worst it would be a no. So I'm saying I'm not against it, but I, as a council person, and I'll take whatever stones get thrown at me, which inevitably will, don't have all the information I want to make the informed decision. I have a great deal of information, but some specific questions were rolled over. Am I comfortable with this ordinance necessarily, reading it and reading the executive's replies? I don't know if I'm not comfortable with it. I think what guides me, if I may, Madam President, is I was here when we did 911, and we passed the user fee, the $1.25, and the executive at the time said, please pass it now before the year is out. I promise we will not activate the plan, I promise, until I can bring it back to you and you can look at it. So I voted yes, and I'm fine with voting yes. Then he went and quickly activated the plan because he said, I have the votes. So my concern is, and I'm not saying this is about Mr. McClure, I'm just saying this about in general. If we would have to ultimately vote on this, whether we do it or not, but I mean, he could sign it and then bring it to us signed. Now, we could then say, no, we don't want to do it. But that is, to me, then, you know, it's sort of a weird situation. I would prefer that we get more all on the same page before we do that. So I've struggled with this, to be honest with you, because I'm not against it. I don't think it's going to be everything it's made out to be. And I don't blame the unions. Hell, you say, I'll give you a car for free. Would you like it? I'd say, sure, give my members all a car. I don't know. I mean, their numbers at times vary. I don't think it's ironclad. I was looking at some of the things they've done, and it all sounds good, but some of it, like we're the round wheel and they're the square wheel. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on this. Yeah, Ms.
Oh,
I'm sorry, he looked at me.
Thanks. Do you want to jump in, Mr. Gafredo?
There's been a lot of discussion about this already, and I think what this ordinance is doing is trying to bring the council more involved with, you know, we had no idea who Integrity Health was until they came here pitching this plan that apparently we've been in conversations with for months, because there was so much in front of us with no other competitors, no other points of reference. You know, they're offering to do this for 3%. Who's to say somebody can't do it for 1.5%? We don't know. So there's not a lot of competition. I had probably a 2-3 page email that I sent to Mr. Forrester with very specific questions, and I don't think I got one specific answer back. I got a lot of, you know, roundabouts, this is how it'll work. So all of the basis of the logic that's making this make sense is based off of figures that are given to the guy that's trying to make money off of this. So I would like to see a lot more information. I think this ordinance is trying to put a little bit more control into the council's hands so we can feel a little bit more comfortable with the procedure. Asked another question about the real estate, which we still have no definitive answers on. Yeah, I think I'll be straightforward. I'm very reluctant about a health center or a health department, whatever this will end up leading into, because that's what my fears are. This will end up leading into something that will become another huge function of our government that, you know, we already have so many branches of our government that we're trying to keep control of. I don't think this is the time to be opening another, but that's my personal opinion. On the greater topic, as far as this ordinance goes, I think I will absolutely be supporting it because I think council should be much more involved with how this gets set up.
Mr. Brown?
I appreciate the challenge that the administration is going through with healthcare for our employees. I face the same challenge as executive, so I have a little bit of insight into this. Just to give you some context, in 2017, we spent $11.3 million on employee health care. As of the 2023 budget, with the $7.7 million, 24% increase that's projected, we spent almost $32 million. That's within 6 years. Part of the solution I had put in place was a 10% copay with our employees, very unpopular, and that change was removed, I believe, or changed again by the new administration, bringing it to similar to the current plans that are there. The 10% copay flattened that curve for 2 or 3 years. Removing it just kind of opened up the can to allow the compounding of healthcare costs right now. Unfortunately, without doing something, and we must do something, we're on track within the next 2 to 3 years to hit $40 million a year for healthcare costs. That, to put it in context, that's for $100 million in money that we collect from taxes. 40 million of that will go to just to support our healthcare, approximately. So we need to do something. Give you an idea, for per cost per employees in 2017 was approximately $6,000 per employee was what the county was supporting. As of the 2023 budget, that has grown to 16,500 and will expand to almost 24,000 per employee in the next couple of years if we don't do anything. Just to give you context, the average employee, I believe, I looked at the plans that are being offered, contribute an average, and there's a range, so these are not exact figures, about 3% of their salary towards their health care, plus whatever the particular plan deductibles and out-of-pockets would be, but probably on average contribute less than $2,000. The plan, and I took a deep dive into the proposed clinic, and the challenges I have with it are just a couple. One, the way it was presented to council, no other options were brought forth. Didn't say we could do A, we could do B, the clinic, and even within the clinic, what are the options within the clinic? So I put on my hat and I do what I do. In looking at the offerings that the clinic that was provided to us, here are the things we would do inside the clinic. I looked at that, and 40% of what they're proposing, we're already doing. We're talking about vaccines, prescriptions, telemedicine, flu shots, COVID shots, those types of things, which are already accounted for within the current healthcare plan that we're doing for no additional cost. Another third of their activity would be what's called care coordination and member services. I inquired about that with kind of a little fuzzy as to what that is, but it's support for their filing their claims and so on and so forth. And the last 10%, excuse me, that I talked about was actual doctor or nurse contact within that. So I'm kind of questioning the $4 million up front plus the $800,000 annual payment that we make, and that $800,000 goes up year over year depending on how the contract is written. In the information that Integrity provided, they're talking about a 1.6 return on money, right? Every dollar you spend will return 1.6. Their projection is that we would spend the $4 million and they would return approximately $6.5 million back, netting the county $2.5 million, which is reasonable. Except when I did this process, I paid a consultant $30,000 to $50,000 and yielded a $2 million savings just by changing the healthcare plan. So there's more work I think needs to be done. Those are short-term results. Longer term, which is what the clinic is really pointing to, beyond just saying, hey, we'll go in, manage the number of claims, manage the pharmacy. We'll get in behind the curtain, kind of pull it back, looking at the healthcare plan, so on and so forth. The other issue I have is the fact that the monies that the 7.7 million, when inquired about it with the administration, it's not in the 2023 budget. The 24% was told by administration, well, there'll be an amendment done some point. So, okay, it's not in the budget we just approved. So the 31 million, which is what we would be paying out next year with the 7.7, 24% increase, is not budgeted for. We're budgeting 23.6. So that left me going, how serious are you with really moving this forward? The comment being, well, if we went ahead with the clinic, we would save potentially 50% of the 7.7 million. Even if we approve this today, you're looking at a 6, maybe 9 month startup if everything went aligned. So you're not going to realize any benefit in 2023. at all. So we're going to eat that 7.7 million increase no matter what, plus the 4 million on top of that. So you're looking at about $11 million swing in 2024, depending on the number of employees that would actually use it. They're projecting 750, so on and so forth. You really don't know what that return would be over 3, maybe 5 years. We'd probably begin to see a gain, save the 2.5 million. But the projections on healthcare costs, and I just factored in a 15% increase year over year after the 24, taming it back. We're still looking at over $40 million a year in a couple of years. So I don't think the clinic itself is going to solve that curve. It may taper it a little bit, and I'm just not sure that the ROI for what we're asking to be done is, there's enough bang in those savings, overall. Even if they got to 5 million as a savings down the road, we're already going to have to eat, and 7.7 plus on top of that. You're looking at another 8, 9 million, 10 million thereafter. So these are the kind of questions that I have, that I don't have enough information. I'm really trying to be balanced in looking at how to approach this, because it is taxpayer money that we're looking at, and it is a benefit that the employees do enjoy. But somewhere in here, it's gotten out of the gate, and trying to put the genie back in the bottle is going to be a huge, huge challenge, and it's something I don't think I want to jump into quickly, although I'm actively involved with talking with Integrity. I'd like to see some of the other options that might be brought to bear in order to help solve this and level this off for the taxpayers overall. I also do have a concern that it's being listed as a volunteer-only program. That's only going to last so long. I'm sure at some point we're going to we're going to require employees to use the plan, because that's the only way you're going to get the money and the return that you're looking for if we put them into that plan. And I'm not sure that the employees I've talked to are confident that that independence will remain. We've seen actions from this administration relative to some of the COVID. We fired employees about them not willing to get vaccinated at Greystone and other places. So there's already a pattern of not necessarily respecting that line with the employees' health care alone. So these are just some of the concerns that I have in delving into this over the last few weeks. So thank you.
Mr. Heckman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I sort of felt we got a hard press on this. Mr. McClure himself said he had a few years to review this. We've had a few months. So I think in fairness, to say you have everything you need, that's sort of like this headmaster saying you have everything you need, now vote. That's a dangerous tack to take, but so be it. I don't think Mr. McClure would, and I understand what you're saying, because when I first thought of this, I said, yeah, if you require everybody to use it long-term, but I don't think he has any plans on requiring employees to do this. However, having said that, I don't know what an executive down the road would do. That would be my worry, that an executive at some point could do this. The other thing is, you mentioned savings. When Glenn Reedman was executive, they went from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Colonial, and you would have thought we took away health care. I mean, people forget that we hire administrators to administrate. We fund, I mean, it's county money that is coming from. And promptly after he left, the very next, one of the first meetings, the next executive came in and council pushed, and they got rid of Colonial and put back Blue Cross Blue Shield, even though the doctors would take it. It was cheaper with Colonial. Now, I'm not saying they're great. I'm not pitching for that. I don't even know if they're still around. But Blue Cross Blue Shield is gold standard. The 24% that's been mentioned, is that coming from who? Is that coming from administrators? Is that going to be health care? I mean, we've been pitched 24%, but I haven't seen, I mean, we know health care is going to go up. It's inevitable that it goes up. Whatever we do, it's still going to go up. I mean, Forrester and these guys, I don't think they can reinvent the wheel when it comes to how much it's going to cost. Their salaries are going to go up. They have to buy bandages. I know they're saying we don't have the overhead. But I think a lot of what they say is pitch, and that's fine, because he's a pitch man. Yeah.
The 24% was provided by the administration relative to the actuary that evaluates the health fund, where these monies are kept, as to what is required by the county based on the utility of that fund. Mr. McClure himself, in one of the, made a statement as to the 7.75 million, what the 24% would equate to potentially if we're not able to cap that. That's where some of these numbers came from, to answer your question.
But we don't know for sure if it's going to happen. That is 24%. The actuary is saying, we believe it's going to happen, or we've been tipped off it's going to happen.
I believe when the actuary says this is what you need, that's what the.
But you said it wasn't put in the
That's what-
budget.
That's what the county would be required to put into the fund in order to keep it in balance.
I think some of these guys are put on the earth to make astrologers look good. The projections are made, and I've heard all these projections over the years, and sometimes it's great. But I would just say this, I want to support this. I really do. And I'm just, you know, and people can, I have thick scales on my body after all this time, so I don't care if they say I have all the information I need. I don't. But I certainly want to support it. That's all I can say.
Any other points for discussion?
Yeah, I do. My poor brain's about to explode, I guess. I'm looking at this document that JP and Tom put in, and I respect the effort and everything that's put in this. But I did a little research, and I did a little phone calling, come to find out that Lackawanna County's not the one that's using this thing. I found that it's being used in southeast Pennsylvania. Why, am I just finding that we've got in southeast Pennsylvania? Why can't we get some more information from them? And the fact that we only had one entity apply, and they, in Lackawanna, used an RFP is also something that's puzzling to me, because I received this afternoon when I came in. I haven't had a chance to absorb that document and see what's going on, but I'm not comfortable with this thing. And I've expressed it, and I expressed it, and I expressed it. And I'm constantly hearing from the folks that I know that are not happy, don't do this, don't do this, and I'm hearing from other folks saying, do it, do it. So, you know, I'm between a rock and a hard place. Here's my issue. I stated what I wanted to do. I think the only way to resolve this thing is we don't need to vote on this thing tonight. That's just me. I'm not comfortable, and if I'm not comfortable, I would probably not vote for it if I'm forced to vote tonight. I would much rather get some more information from the people from southeast Pennsylvania, leave that up to the administration, get that back to us, and see what it's all about. Have some more conversation with some of our union labor people, see how they're coming from that. So I personally would like to table this damn thing until we got some more information, and wait until earlier part of next year if we have to, and bring it back up, because guys, I am not comfortable with this thing at all. And if I'm forced to vote for it tonight, I don't think I'm voting in favor of it. I'm just telling you that right now. That's
I
all
would
gotta
just
say.
like to make a point of clarification. This ordinance does not state that we are voting for or against a health center. This ordinance is saying that in order for us to vote for a health center, there are certain things council is requesting and requiring. So I think sometimes we need to not read what people write on our papers, but we need to read what's written on our paper. And, you know, it's basically saying that we want the process. No one's saying no health center. Nobody ever said kill the health center. But that we have to vet, and we have to do procurement, and we have to do competitive bidding for everything we do over $100,000, and we're talking about millions of dollars here. So all we're requesting in this is to say, slow the process, give us more information, and give us more time. And then but I don't think that you don't vote on the ordinance, because the ordinance is stating that's what we want. And if we don't, you know, then they could do whatever they want. And that's what I'm not opposed to the people that came here or what they said. I'm not opposed to any of that. I'm concerned about county council by this document and this document have certain rights and responsibilities that were not followed in this process. That's all that's my concern. All these numbers and stuff.
That a motion.
Can he second it on top?
There was a motion, I'd like to second it.
Well, I was speaking.
May?
I don't think
Mr.
anybody.
Myers, was that a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Lot, was that second?
I'd like to second that table motion.
Motion to table, there will be no discussion, there is a vote.
Yeah, I didn't know how we discussed so much. That's the way it's always been, on a table vote.
It wasn't seconded before I talked.
Well, I seconded it.
Now you did.
There we go.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Lot,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
No.
Mr. Giovanni,
No.
Mr. Gofredo,
No.
Mr. Heckman,
Yes, this week.
Yes, this week.
Ms. Fargo Hefner,
No.
Ms. Zirinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Motion fails by a vote of 4 to 5.
Then we gotta vote on it, eh? Vote, then we gotta.
Is there any further discussion on the ordinance? Call for the vote.
Mr. Gofredo,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman,
Please come back to me.
Mr. Lot,
No.
Mr. Myers,
Skip me.
are you abstaining or are you just?
I'm just skip, I need a little more time.
He asked for a pass.
Pass.
Fargo Hefner,
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky,
No.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman,
I abstain for lack of information.
Mr. Myers.
I'll go with the same, stand for lack of information.
The ordinance passes by a vote of 5 to 2 with 2 abstentions.
Thank you. Is there any other old business to discuss? Next, we have new business, the introduction of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the County Council of Northampton County Authorizing the Purchase of Land Situated in 3502 Kesslerville Road, Forks Township, Pennsylvania, from James Dietzler and Christy G. Dietzler, his wife."
I'll
Someone
sponsor.
please sponsor.
I'll sponsor.
Who's
Myers and Zirinsky.
Tara, then Carrie?
Yep.
Public hearing, debate, and possible vote will be held at the January 5th, 2023 meeting. Consideration of the acceptance of Christmas gifts for the Graysdale Residents Resolution. Will someone please introduce?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you.
Resolved by the Northampton County Council that, one, in accordance with Northampton County Home Rule Charter, Section 206A, the Northampton County Council organizational meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023, and will begin at 3:30 p.m.
Oh, wait, you're not reading the right one. It's the county council gifts for Graysdale's.
Oh, that one's probably stuck to the one previous.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you, wrong.
Yep.
There we go.
Whereas Northampton County Home Rule Charter, Section 202, provides that the county council shall have, among others, the following powers: to accept on behalf of the county any gifts of real property, and to provide for the acceptance by any agency on behalf of the county of other gifts. And now, therefore be it resolved that Northampton County Council authorizes the Department of Human Services, Graysdale, to accept $1,697.70 from the Friends of Graysdale Foundation to be used to purchase Christmas gifts for residents.
Yes.
Any discussion?
No.
Call for the vote.
Mr. Gofredo,
Yes.
Mr. Heckman, Mr. Lot,
Yes.
Mr. Myers, Fargo Hefner,
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic,
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni.
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9 to 0.
Consideration of the 2023 County Council meeting schedule resolution. you want to keep going?
Yeah, I might as well.
Thank you.
I'll take it back from the top. Resolved by the Northampton County Council that, one, in accordance with the Northampton County Home Rule Charter, Section 206A, the Northampton County Council organizational meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023, and will begin at 3:30 p.m. prevailing time in the third floor meeting room, room 3116, Northampton County Government Center, 669 Washington Street, Easton, PA. And two, the regular schedule of the meetings for the year of 2023 shall be conducted on the first and third Thursday of each respective month, beginning at 6:30 p.m. prevailing time in the third floor meeting room, room 3116, Northampton County Government Center, 669 Washington Street, Easton, PA, with the following exceptions. The meeting scheduled for Thursday, December 21st, 2023 is canceled and rescheduled for Thursday, December 14th, 2023, and will begin at 4:30 p.m. prevailing time and will be held in the third floor meeting room, room 3116, Northampton County Government Center, Easton, PA.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Gofredo?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Mercifully, yes.
Adopted by a vote of 9-0.
Is there any other new business to discuss? Any county council committee reports? Hearing none. Any liaison reports?
I have one.
Yes.
So the airport met, and I just wanted to report that they've entered an agreement with Braden, with Forks Township, amending an agreement that they had for Braden Air Park to accommodate skydiving operations, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, so revenue is up 32%, expenses are up 45%, and October, they had their highest cargo activity with 26 million pounds at a 9% increase. So I thought that was all just interesting little information. Thank you.
Several of us attended CCAP. I believe that maybe next week's meeting, we could put a resolution together adopting our priorities for next year, since those were voted on at the meeting. Council Clerk, report.
Just a reminder, next meeting is next Thursday at 4:30.
Oh, we're gonna all be there with bells.
And do we have to announce we're having a meeting on the 15th? We don't know, okay. Solicitor?
Publicly, if you'll indulge me for 5 seconds.
You need to put your mic on.
Recognizing the robust discussion, let me extend my appreciation and that of my staff to Linda, Aileen, and Janessa for just a whole lot of work well done.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're here. You earned that raise. Any other comments? Motion to adjourn? The same two. All in favor?
I'm going home. That's it for now. I've had it. Call me tomorrow morning, but not tonight. That's it. I may have to start taking pills for my bladder. I've been here since like 4:30.